Hey, welcome everybody, especially to everybody on QTV. It's a wonderful event that we've got planned for you today. And before we do that, I wanted to share with you just a little quick thought. The other night, Lisa and I, we went to a meeting with some other couples, and you know how you get talking back and forth, and they said, why don't you describe your spouse? And so she just said A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. I said, well, you know, what does that mean? And so I wrote some of them down. I think you'll get a kick out of it. She said adorable, beautiful spirit, cute, delightful, elegant, fashionable, giving, and hot. I says, well, wait a minute. What about the I, the J, and the K? And she said, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we're really excited about today. It's our very first global broadcast using this new modem, and Nick and David have been working really hard. And I'm excited because, you know, we have Scott Malone, one of the founding IBOs of Q Sciences, one of the most successful individuals ever in the industry, who's going to be here to teach us. Melanie Houghton, one of our gold members, is here. Carr Erner, who's going to be sharing with us. Dana Stringham, who I think we all know is building a significant business, but also, as we fondly refer to him, as Super Q. He's just got incredible training in everything that he's been through in his life. Mike Demke is joining us remotely from Arizona. That's why this is kind of fun, because in the future, we'll be able to pull people in from different locations. And Roxanne Thane. All of these members that are going to be speaking to you today have a foundational brick at Q Sciences. I think that's really exciting. The other thing I'm mostly proud to announce is that every single one of them last week grew their business personally by recruiting new individuals. So if you're coming to understand how to build a business, this is a wonderful group to learn from. And so with that, please join me in welcoming Mr. Scott Malone.
All right, I need to stand. Hopefully that's okay. Congratulations for being with us on this first inaugural event. Stand back a little bit. Okay, I'm being tugged out of the way. So we appreciate that you're here, and we hope this works good, and hope you gain a lot of understanding of what we're trying to do today. Today, this is about teaching you how to do certain things. Today we want to talk about, let's see, I can't see them on the monitor here, so does that not going to work? Or a few little technical glitches, but let me do a little bit more of an introduction to who's going to be speaking with you today. Mike Demke from Arizona has his MBA in business and has taught corporate America techniques that he's going to teach today for the last 20 years. Very knowledgeable. You're going to hear some exciting statistics about this industry and some very interesting facts and data that you're going to be able to use in your business. I hope you're taking notes, because the purpose of everything is to teach you the things that you're going to be able to do to make money in this business. Now, some of the things that you're not going to hear today are the compensation plan, for example. We're not going to talk about that. Next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at noon, Derek and Gentry are going to be going through the compensation plan live, and they'll record that, and they'll do every single section of the comp plan. You'll be able to watch that over and over and learn more about the compensation plan. So we're not going to talk about that today. We're not going to talk about the science of our products, particularly. Dana, though, is going to go into a lot of detail about why this product is necessary, why we're using it, why people have success, all of the things about the Q96 product particularly. Now, we call Dana Super Q, just an amazing man. Been around this company, the True Hope company, the Empower Plus Q96, for over 18 years. He's Autumn Stringham's husband, Tony's son-in-law. And we're so grateful to have you here with us live. So it's a great opportunity for you to learn you're going to hear some things that you've never heard before about Q96 and the whole industry. The next we have one of my favorite people, Melanie Houghton. I call her Super Mom. She's just an amazing mom. We're so grateful that she's here to share with us. She went from bronze to silver to gold in 3 consecutive months in this business. Now, this is a woman that got in this business. not to do the business, but to help her family. And the business kind of consumed her and her family. And just a great leader, a great example, and somebody that you can really learn from. Come on in, everybody. We're excited that you're here. Come on in, have a seat. Okay, next we have Roxanne, Indianapolis 500 Thane. That's going to be here with us. We're excited. Last night we were doing a meeting up in Altamont, Utah. It's a 2.5-hour drive, they told me. Coming back, we made it in 1 hour and 15 minutes following Roxanne. So she's quite an amazing person. Everything she does is in hyperspeed. So we might have to slow her down a little bit today, but just know she is on fire, excited. We had a great time with her and her husband, Tim, that's with us today as well, on the cruise last week. So they were just a blast. So you're going to be excited to hear from her as well. Let's see. I think that's everybody that we're going to talk about tonight. So are we ready to move forward on our slides? 1 second. Okay. Want me to delay a little bit more time? Let's see.
They can see them out in TV then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can see them, but they can't see the slides?
No, they'll see the slides in a second.
Okay, but I just can't see them.
Yeah, so we're switching.
Okay. 1 more minute. So there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. The reason we're doing this was about a month ago. I had talked to Darren, and I had told him that the last 6 months or so I've been building a house, and I've been really involved with that. But that's all finished. I'm back, and I said, Darren, I want to really start teaching and training. And so we put together this idea of doing this training globally, and this is the first one of these trainings. And we're going to be doing this now every month. Darren, is that right? Every month?
Yeah, we'd like to, Scott. Even
Okay.
more often, we're going to let the leaders drive, but we are planning at least once a month.
So once a month we'll be doing this type of training. Now, one of the things that we're putting together that will hopefully be up and running this week as well is a really in-depth, very technical question and answer section that will go on the corporate website. And any question that you have, you're going to email it to questions@qsciences.com. Now, none of these guys know this yet, so I'm just putting this out in front of them. And those questions will come in, and we have a bunch of them already that will go up hopefully in the next few days. And then the purpose of that is for you to be able to take new people, and they will be categorized in different subjects. Product questions, questions about the comp plan, questions about the business, those types of things. Anybody can go there anytime. They don't have to log in. Just go to the qsciences.com website, look under the questions section, and then they'll be able to find those questions and answers in categorical order. So are we ready to go now? Is that up and running? Okay. Today we're going to talk about how you can get involved and catch the wave that Q Sciences is creating in the business world. We've had tremendous growth. We've been in business now for a little bit more than 1.5 years. This week is kind of an anniversary because it was 2 years ago, the 27th of September, 2 years ago, that I first heard about and discovered Empower Plus Q96. It was actually just called Empower Plus at the time. But over the next 30 days, by the end of October, we had joined forces with Darren and Mark Wilson to create this new company called Q Sciences. And so it's just barely been, not even 2 years. And so one of the things I want you to realize and be patient with us is that as things grow, like we're doing today, there's a lot of, we're not perfect yet. And there's a lot of things that are in the process of being improved. The website, for example, there's a lot of work going on that. In the next few months, there will be an entire new back office website that will make things much, much better. And so just know that there's a lot of things in the works. Hand me my water, if you don't mind, too. And so we are a young company, so just be patient with things that are going on. Just know that we're working as hard as we can to get things up as quick as we can.
Right.
Okay, we're ready? We're up and running. All right, so today we're going to talk about these things. How to catch the Q Sciences wave. Some of the things you're going to hear today are simple. Because they're simple, you can't ignore them, but they might appear to be obvious. And sometimes they're overlooked. And as I talk to people and I work with people, I realize that when I teach people something, I'm teaching them what I've learned in 25 years of experience. In 1989, I got involved with this industry. Now, I wasn't trained. I had no background in this. I was 37. I had 5 children. All I wanted to do was change my life. And I wasn't looking to get involved in direct sales. But a family member introduced it to me. I really didn't have any alternative. And I got involved. And within a year, I bought back the house that I lost. Within 2 years, I was making $1 million a year and had made millions of dollars in the industry of direct sales. Built an organization of hundreds of thousands of people in 55 countries doing over $10 million a month in wholesale business. And so when I tell you things, it's because I have lived them, I've done them, I've proved that they work, and I know that if you will do those things, then you can also have the same kind of success. So that's really what this is about. Anyone can do the things that we're going to teach you today. The reality is not everyone will, but if you will do them, you can create leveraged long-term income. When I talk about leveraged income, I'm talking about income that comes to you 24/7, 7 days a week, whether you're on vacation, whether you're sick, no matter what. So that's what this is about. That's what we're trying to teach you today, the things that you need to know to accomplish these types of things. Let's see, it didn't change. So
It should change now.
it should change. There we go. Okay. So today, here's some of the specific things that you're going to learn. We're going to talk about using the products. Now, we're not going to talk about every product, but we're going to talk about some specifically. But as a leader, as an IBO that wants to do this as a business, you need to know that you need to use all the products. You need to learn to read everything, study everything that there is in the back office, watch all the videos. Then you need to learn how to take action and know what to do. So we're going to teach you those things today. We're going to teach you how to communicate with those people that you are trying to bring into the business, as well as those people that are already in your team. And you're going to hear from some phenomenal people on how to do that very thing, about the importance and the critical nature of attending meetings, then how to duplicate the things that you hear and see with those people in your team. This point, stepping up and become a leader, is really, really critical because nobody has a meeting here at the company and then they vote on who's going to be the next silver or the next bronze or the next gold. You know, we are the ones that decide to do that. We have to decide that we're going to be successful. That we have to step up and become a leader in this company. It's a decision that we make individually. And then I'm going to teach you how to drive lines and why that is so critical and important. To begin with the products, we've got a great gentleman today, Mr. Dana Super Q Stringham, that's going to teach us about some very specific things on our products. We have a tremendous product line, but today we're going to focus just on Empower Plus Q96. Now we're going to talk about some really unique things about this product and why it works, and some things that you need to really understand the details of them because it's amazing information. So Dana, take it over and teach us your knowledge. We're grateful to have him here. Everybody welcome Dana Stringham.
Thank you. It's great to be here. In fact, it's a real privilege. And as Scott mentioned before, this product, Empower Plus, was really developed for my wife and for her brother, Joseph, by my father-in-law, Tony Steffen. That's where this whole thing began. And that was more than 18 years ago. And so, as things started, and, of course, initially it wasn't a great product that it is today. There's been lots of refinements. It's a much better product, more absorbable, all those things than it ever was. But I'm standing for, oh, there we go, okay. But the point is, it still works today, just like it did more than 18 years ago, and saved my wife from a bipolar disorder that was likely going to kill her after the suicide of her mother and all these things that led to the development of Empower Plus. Things were looking pretty grim for our family, and so after the first couple of years of word spreading in communities that this product is working and it's changing lives and this kind of thing, I decided that I need to get involved. I'm actually a civil engineering technologist by trade. That's what my education is. And I switched gears completely about, 13 years ago to come and work for Tony's company full time to teach people about Empower Plus, why it's working the way it does. And over the years, I always get a lot of the same questions. And I have a nice big presentation. I usually do. It takes an hour and whatever. So I'm not doing that today. I'm going to try and cram it into about 20 or 25 minutes here. But one of the biggest questions I always get when people ask me about this product and why it works is how does it work? Why does it work? Why is it different than any other multivitamin like Centrum or any of these other things? And those are really great questions. And so that's the kind of stuff that I hope to address today and just kind of give you a little education on. Because I think, well, is this working?
Yeah.
Hold on. There we go. Because I think this is very, so I call them the 3 keys to the effectiveness of Empower Plus Q96. Okay, so I want you to, take some notes, write these things down, because you'll be able to remember these things and be able to teach them to the people that you're introducing to this product. It is a wonderful product, but there are some things that definitely set it apart from other things. Okay, so what is Empower Plus Q96, first of all? Well, it's really nothing exotic in that sense. It's 36 different ingredients, essential vitamins, essential minerals, and some amino acids and antioxidants in there. So you might look at that and think, well, what? I've seen this kind of stuff before. And most of you probably have, on some level or another. If you've ever taken a multivitamin supplement, or if you've ever looked at a store shelf or something, you've seen vitamin A, you've seen zinc, you've seen magnesium, these kind of things. But there are some distinct things, as I mentioned, that set this apart, that make it different. Okay, why does it make your brain feel so much better? And this is the thing that I hear consistently, and many of you have probably already experienced this, right? Where somebody takes it and they just feel, oh man, I feel so much calmer. I feel less stressed. I'm able to sleep better, all these things. Well, why does that happen? Why is Q96 able to make your brain feel better? Well, here's the key. Micronutrients are absolutely essential for brain health. Okay? That's the first thing to realize. They're absolutely essential. Without the proper amounts of micronutrients flowing through your blood and in your body at one time, your brain is not going to function as well as it could. It's going to start starving, in a sense, screaming out, feed me, give me the good stuff. So micronutrients are essential. And unfortunately, in today's world, many of us, if not all of us, are undernourished or depleted or deficient on some level or another on some of these essential micronutrients. And that's just the fact. And so what I want to do for just a couple of minutes is kind of go into that a little bit to show you some of the evidence behind the deficiencies that have been created in North America, but really around the world, and why it is then that when people take Empower Plus Q96, they feel so much better so quickly, because it really we're starving for it is really what it comes down to. Okay, so why are we deficient? Here are some of the things. These are just 3 things, or maybe other reasons. The first is our nutrient-depleted soils producing nutrient-depleted foods. And that's not a theory, that's an actual fact now. And on a larger presentation, I've got several slides that kind of show the evidence behind this, that some of the fruits and vegetables that have been grown in this land, on these soils, are not what they used to be 50, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. In fact, they've declined significantly. Major minerals like calcium, magnesium, iron, these things that we know we need on a regular basis have come down significantly in just our everyday regular things like cabbage and broccoli and tomatoes, those kind of things don't have the nutritional value that they did. That's just the reality of it. So you're trying to eat good foods and everything, you're not getting those same levels of micronutrients you used to.
Hey, Dana, let me make a point here. We're going to have all these slides on PDF form, so you'll be able to download everything, all these slides on PDF, and he'll have his full presentation there, so you'll see all the slides that he's talking about. So that'll be at qsciences.com/live, and then there'll be a PDF there. So it should be up later today.
Yeah,
So,
good.
okay.
Yes, good. Because this is important and something, again, that I want to be able to condense in a way so that you could share this with others in a short format like this as well. Okay, so the next thing, you see the kid with the french fries coming out of his ears and mouth and everything. Here's the thing. We eat a lot of this kind of stuff, in North America in particular, but around the world. And so the overconsumption of processed foods, fast foods, this kind of thing, is literally creating deficiencies in our bodies. Right? Over-processed foods can actually strip good nutrients from your body, probiotics, those other things, right? And so in North America, we actually eat about 31% more of processed foods than we do fresh foods. That's kind of amazing. And so even if we ate a lot of fresh foods, there's not the same level of nutrients that there used to be, but there's way too much of this kind of stuff going on. If you walk into a Walmart what's the first thing you see when you walk into the grocery aisles at Walmart? Yeah, it's just aisles and aisles of processed packaged foods, right? And a lot of the young people today, unfortunately, and I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, are living off packaged foods, whether it's Lunchables, Pop-Tarts, whatever it is, corn dogs, that kind of stuff. That's what kids and a lot of adults even are living on a regular basis. And there's a lot of calories in those things, right? You have all the macronutrients you need for sure. You've got the fats, the carbohydrates, the sugars, all that kind of stuff, but not a lot of micronutrients. And that's what's key to actual development and function of our brains and body. Okay, and the next thing, of course, is poor digestion. A lot of people today suffer from chronic digestive problems, whether it's IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, or whether it's whatever it might be, chronic diarrhea, chronic constipation, these kind of things. make it hard for our bodies to absorb nutrients properly. And so if somebody's in sort of a chronic state like that, they're not eating very well in the first place, the soil's already depleted, the fruit and stuff they're eating is not what it used to be, and then suddenly they're not absorbing like they should be, is it any wonder then that we might see some of these issues that are tied to critical brain function in terms of a lack of nutrients? And that's exactly what I think anyways. A lot of these things that we see today in a lot of these diagnoses, whether it's bipolar depression, ADD, anxiety, whatever it is, a lot of these things are tied to nutritional deficiencies. And how do we know that? Because when we apply a Power Plus Q96, those things seem to go away, or they subside, or go away completely, which is interesting. Okay, so this is another very interesting slide. This is the percentage of the U.S. population that does not meet the recommended dietary allowance on a daily basis, or dietary intake or something. Okay, this is from the USDA. This is real data. You can go on their website, you can look at it, you can look at state by state, for example, you can look at Utah and compare Utah to Massachusetts or whatever else and see where you compare in terms of vitamin E deficiencies. And unfortunately, you can't see this very well, but vitamin E is huge. It's actually 85% of us not getting enough vitamin E in our diets. And that's just meeting the recommended daily allowance. And I'm going to show you in a few minutes how even just at the level of the RDA is really kind of inadequate for a lot of these things. So to kind of illustrate the point now, the first key, I'm going to talk about balance, okay? So write this down. Well, don't write this down. I guess, like I said, it's going to be available for you in PDF form, but you can write it down if you like. But the first key to the effectiveness of Empower Plus is balance, okay? What I mean by that is the ratio between the elements in Empower Plus. It's absolutely essential to have proper balance. The example I always like to use is calcium. You can take just a calcium supplement, just calcium carbonate, but it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. Well, why is that? Because in order for calcium to be properly absorbed in the body, you need a certain amount of magnesium, you need phosphorus, you need boron, you need a little bit of vitamin D, and in proper ratio and balance for that calcium to be absorbed. And that's true with many, many nutrients across the board, whether it's zinc, magnesium, copper, whatever it might be, require the presence of other elements to be properly absorbed. So this idea of ratio and balance is very well understood. And again, a lot of the inspiration behind this actually comes from the animal feed industry, because they've known in the animal feed industry for many, many years how to properly give nutrition to these animals so that they grow healthy and strong, so that they don't create osteoporosis in pigs, for example, so that they are bigger and fatter and more bacon and all this kind of stuff, right? So we've known for many, many years how to treat our animals better. But that was a key in the animal feed industry as far as nutritional supplementation is balance and ratios, okay? So that's key number one. In order to sort of explain to you a little bit better how this works, and this is a good visual, and this is why I wanted to present it today, because it's something that you can all kind of, once you see this, I think you'll agree with me that it makes sense how this balance thing needs to work, okay? So I want you all to pretend that your bodies are like this dam. And I always use the Hoover Dam because it's really the only dam I can remember. Plus, I've been there, and it's really a neat thing. Has anybody else been there? It's pretty amazing, right? It's an amazing structure. It's fantastic. So imagine that you're standing there when this thing is brand newly constructed. And I want you to imagine your bodies are like that, okay? It's functioning at its very best level. Nothing's perfect, we know that, right? But your body's functioning at its very highest level. The water's right up to the top of the dam. The thing's producing electricity. Everything's going really, really well. Okay, now let's take that slide from a couple slides ago. Again, this is the U.S. percentage of the U.S. population not meeting recommended dietary allowance. Okay, and let's superimpose that on the dam and pretend that those are now holes in the dam. Okay, what's happening? Clearly the dam's been compromised. We got all of these deficiencies, and the level of the water is what? You can see that it's dropped. It's dropped significantly, and the dam's compromised. It's leaking like crazy. It might still be producing electricity. It might still be kind of getting by a little bit, but it's compromised. Maybe we're feeling a little bit of brain fog. Maybe we're feeling anxiety. We're feeling all these different things. We're stressed out a little bit because we're crying out. We're not quite getting enough of those nutrients like we should. So we recognize in this case, for example, that we have a gaping vitamin E deficiency, a giant hole in the dam. So, we better pack ourselves full of vitamin E, so let's do that. Okay, well, did that solve the problem? No, right? It starts leaking from the next greatest deficiency. And really, the only benefit you're going to see is from the one we just filled, the vitamin E deficiency, and the next greatest deficiency, which in this case is perhaps calcium. So a little bit of benefit, but not much. Well, oh no, we got to fill the calcium hole, so let's do that. Okay, well, our dam is not fixed yet, right? It's still leaking like crazy, and the level is still not quite what it needs to be. Of course, you know where I'm going with this. It's not really until we fill all of those holes and all of those deficiencies in the dam that we can really see what good and proper nutrition does. And that's why the balance and ratio is absolutely key and essential to providing, to the way the product works the way it does. If you were to just take calcium or just take vitamin E, you wouldn't nearly see the result that people do. That's why. Balance is absolutely critical and essential. Okay, this is something that the U.S. Institute of Medicine states actually too, that you can actually create an imbalance by taking too much of one nutrient and not enough of another. You can actually create deficiencies within your body. For example, if the doctor tells you, boy, you're low in magnesium, and then you go and load up in a bunch of magnesium, you can actually then create a zinc deficiency without that proper ratio and balance. So this is something, again, that can't be overstated. Ratio balance, absolutely essential. Okay, the next thing is absorbability. So we have balance, which is great, but we have absorbability, which is just as essential. You can have balance and proper ratio all day long, but unless that product is absorbable, in other words, unless it can get into the bloodstream and cross the blood-brain barrier, which Empower Plus Q96 does, by the way, unless it can do those things, that the balance and ratio really doesn't matter. It has to be something your body can recognize and absorb. Okay, so this is how Empower Plus does that. And this is a very unique thing, and not any supplement that I'm aware of goes through this same process. Have you ever wondered where that Q96 thing comes from? It's kind of a cute little descriptor. But what it comes from is the fact that it takes 96 hours to micronize the minerals in the product. We're not talking about vitamins, we're talking about the minerals, right? So for example, you take a mineral particle of zinc, and they micronize that, they nanomicronize that thing. They put it through some sort of system that makes it a teeny tiny particle size as possible. And that's really, really great. You want it small so it can be absorbed in the bloodstream. But what's even better then is they take that teeny tiny mineral particle size and they chelate it. And what chelation is a process of combining that little mineral thing with an organic compound that your body can recognize and uptake into the bloodstream. That's what gets it into the bloodstream and into your brain. Okay, so balance ratio, yeah, that's pretty important. Absorbability, just as important. And this is something, again, that's not really well understood in human nutrition at all. There are a lot of supplements out there, just kind of things are packed in. That zinc, for example, is in an elemental form. In other words, it hasn't been combined, it hasn't been chelated. Your body can't recognize it, it just kind of shoots it out. It can't do any good. You know, there's an interesting story that Dr. Jonathan Wright tells. I don't know if you know Dr. Jonathan Wright, kind of a natural doctor guy up in Washington State, quite famous. He's got a big blog and all these kind of things. But he tells a story about a patient of his that came into his office and ran one of those porta potty business, you know, the nasty blue water and all that stuff, right? And I'd hate to have that job, but go in there and rinse those things out and clean that stuff out. And he tells about, you know, as he's washing and hosing these things down and screening things out, he'd literally find pills, capsules all over the place in these things. Pick it up, oh, Centrum, what is that? You know, because it just doesn't get absorbed, right? So I'm not here to bash Centrum, sorry, but it's the, you know, the fact is, sure, maybe some of those people had some horrible digestive issues, but the point is, a lot of those things that are out there are just little rocks, and they're not doing you any good whatsoever. It cannot be absorbed. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. It's like, get it out of there. It's hard packed. It just puts it right through. So absorbability, yeah, you got to have it. It's got to be something to absorb. And how do you know it's absorbed? Because you feel it, right? You literally can feel the difference. And people who take Empower Plus Q96, and you've heard it already, can feel the difference. That's why it's actually getting into your body and into your brain. Okay. Okay. The next key, the third and final key, of course, is to have it in a sufficient quantity to address any of these deficiencies that have taken place. And if we go back to that slide from a few slides ago, it's clear that many of us are deficient, at least in one element or another, or we're not getting quite enough of the stuff that we should. And I think sometimes it's easy for us in North America to think, well, we don't have deficiencies here. You know, that's an African problem or something like that. Well, it's not. It really is a big, in fact, it's becoming more of a big problem here than anywhere else in the world because of the things we talked about, depleted soils, the way we eat, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so if we look at this, once again, you have to have enough to actually take care of those deficiencies that have been created. So sometimes you might have a tendency to think, well, hold on here. If I'm taking 4,000% of the recommended dietary allowance for vitamin B, which of course is a 4-capsule serving of Empower Plus Q96, you might have a tendency to think, wow, I'm going to overdose on this stuff. It's going to be a real problem for me. Well, first of all, the product is in balance and proper ratio, so you don't have to worry about creating an imbalance. Remember that slide from before, taking an excess of one or another could create an imbalance? Empower Plus doesn't have that problem because all the elements are balanced between proper ratios with each other. So you're never going to overdose in that sense or have an accumulation of one thing or another by taking Empower Plus Q96. But more importantly, I want to show you something that's kind of interesting. Some people actually need more than the levels of the RDA. And again, this is from the U.S. Institute of Medicine. This is what they say, that the intake of the level of the RDA doesn't necessarily replete individuals who have been previously undernourished or have had deficiencies of some sort. So let's say you recognize, you go to your doctor and he says, yeah, you're low in vitamin B12, for example. Okay, well, I got to start taking a lot of vitamin B12, so I'm going to eat just at the recommended daily allowance for vitamin B12, whatever that might be. Maybe it's 100 IUs or whatever it is, right? Well, eating even at that level or taking a supplement at that level would not take care of that deficiency. Isn't that interesting? And you know why that is? Well, this is what's really interesting to me. I don't want you to get bogged down with all the little acronyms on this slide. I just want to point out a couple here. But unfortunately, that video is kind of covering where it says risk of inadequacy, okay? And on the other side, it's risk of adverse effects. In other words, having too much. So over on the left is, boy, I'm taking way too much. I'm swallowing, 4 or 5 bottles of Q96 a day, and boy, I'm taking too much nutrients. Okay, there's a risk of perhaps some adverse effects at that level. But more importantly, on this side, risk of inadequacy. Now, I want you to look where the level of the RDA falls. Where does it fall? It actually falls on the line of the risk of inadequacy, not getting enough micronutrients. Isn't that crazy? And yet that's where it's established. So once again, of course, even eating at the level of the RDA would not necessarily replete somebody who's been depleted, which is most of us, actually. The only other thing I want to point out here, which is very interesting, is the UL, okay? The UL is defined as this. Is the highest level of daily nutrient intake that you could take of a specific nutrient for a lifetime that would cause no ill or adverse effects. Okay, so for example, let's say the upper limit of zinc was set at 1,000 milligrams. That means you could safely take, in balance of course, 1,000 milligrams of zinc every single day for the rest of your life and likely have no problems whatsoever. But what's really interesting, I want you to see, you can kind of see the difference between the RDA and the UL. You want to know what the difference in the gap is between the RDA and the upper limit? It's pretty shocking. For vitamins, it's 2,272%, a margin of safety. Isn't that crazy? What if the government allowed us a margin of safety like that in our tax returns or something? That'd be great. For minerals, 874%. So really, the only risk is not getting enough micronutrients in a day. It's certainly not a risk of overdose or any of these other kind of things that some people might say to you if you're taking, Empower Plus. Fact is, we need more than we think we do, just to take care of any deficiencies, but not also to allow our bodies to operate at their optimum level. Nothing's perfect, of course not, but there's a whole lot of improvement that can happen when you start to take Empower Plus Q96. And again, anyone can take it. It's not that it's a product that only people with a mental health concern or a mental health issue or anything else would take. It's that anybody can take this to just feel better. And the fact is, I like to use the analogy of driving around in a car with sort of 4 half-flat tires. Anybody done that? Probably some people have done it. You think, oh, I'll fill them up later. It feels awful, right? Your car's kind of sluggish and it doesn't corner very well. And of course, your gas mileage stinks, right? And it's not until you fill up those tires and give it the proper PSI that suddenly you realize, oh man, this thing handles so much better. My gas mileage went way up and everything else. That's kind of the same way with micronutrients for a lot of us. We get so used to operating at a subpar level where it's just kind of, we're just getting by day, and it isn't until we suddenly get that proper intake of micronutrients that we realize, wow, man, this stuff is making such a difference. I can't believe it. I'm sleeping so much better. I'm able to go throughout the day without a nap or that 44-ounce Diet Coke in the middle of the afternoon, or whatever it is, right, that kind of gets you through the day. It's amazing what micronutrients can do, but not really amazing either. It just makes common sense. This is what our bodies are made of. This is what we need to take in on a regular basis. And so that's what Empower Plus Q96 provides. So what's the bottom line? Once again, micronutrients absolutely matter, and especially for good brain health, but overall body health as well. And anyone can take Q96. It doesn't matter. But, and again, we always put the but up here. If you're on medications, or if somebody you're introducing this product to, and they're bipolar or something like that, and they're taking Prozac, for example, have them call the micronutrient support guys. One of the things we learned over the 18-year history of this product is that people need support when they're going through the process of making a transition, and their doctors need to understand what's going on. And so micronutrient support was set up to help that. And these guys are the experts in that. They know what to do. So it's a free call initial. You say, hey, look, I'm on Prozac. This is what I'd like to do. And they'll tell you what to kind of expect and where to go with it. And so it's a very important part of it. Anybody else, just take it. Get people started on it, and they'll notice the difference, and it's amazing. And I should just mention, too, children in particular respond very, very well to this. Their bodies are still growing, their brains are developing, they're putting on muscle, all that kind of stuff. And so generally, they respond when they suddenly start getting good nutrition, especially those kind of kids that have been fed these sort of processed diets with not a lot of fresh fruits or vegetables. They responded very, very well to Q96 and maybe prevent something from happening in the future for some of these young guys. And just to wrap it up, of course, the bottom line for me always is that I got my family and my life back. And if I had more time, I'd tell you the whole story. But our son there just barely got married here this last weekend. And after his birth is when everything kind of took a big turn for the worse for Autumn and I. And the doctors, she's on all the medications, and doctors told us she's never going to have any more kids. That's it for you guys. You better get used to the fact that that's all you get. And, you have one son, that's good enough kind of thing, because you're just not going to get pregnant and all these things. Well, obviously that didn't happen. We've since had 3 beautiful daughters, and all because of, ultimately, Empower Plus, and for Tony's digging in and trying to find an answer, and praying, and all the things that he went through to find an answer for us. And now the coolest thing is, of course, it isn't about us anymore. And it's about so many more hundreds and thousands of people that have taken this product and are just feeling better, and their lives are changed, they're going back to work, their families, all that kind of stuff, and that's the wonderful thing for me. So, and I invite all of you to be a part of that as well, to really, to get out there and to share and to just change people's lives. There's no better feeling, I can promise you that, when you see somebody turn around and come back to you and say, well, I can't believe how good I feel. Thank you so much for introducing this product to me. So with that, I'll end, and thank you for having me here today.
Awesome. Did you like that? Did you learn something?
Yes.
So he'll have his entire presentation PDF downloadable sometime in the next, give us a couple hours, but it'll be available on the website, qsciences.com/live, and then there'll be a PDF link to download it from there. So we're grateful for that. Nice job. So the really good point that he made that I want to reiterate is that this product is for everybody, from little kids, little children, infants, all the way up. And so we don't want to get into the rut of thinking that we're just out looking for a bunch of mentally ill people, right? That's not what this is about at all. So there's research and science was done on that to prove its effectiveness, but it works for everybody, so let's make sure that we understand that as well. All right, so where are we going to go next here?
You want to move the slide forward?
Yeah, one more. We're gonna move forward. Mike, stand by. I think you're up next. Let's see. Whose is that one?
Go one more.
Okay. So the next point I want to make is what I call read everything, use everything. We have the Q Sciences business plan at teamquan.com. There's so much information. There's such a great resource. You need to make sure that you are going there and grabbing everything that there is that you can use. The back office is full of stuff. Under the resources tab, there is just so many things there to use. We have, you can go to Facebook. We have the vimeo.com/Q Sciences for all the videos. There's well over 100 training videos and information videos there for you to use. So use these resources, gain the knowledge. The more knowledge that you have, the better that you become at telling the story and sharing this with others. Next, we want to talk about taking action. No such thing as bad action. Really, something's better than nothing. You've got to do things over and over. And what I tell people all the time, that there's no way that you can fail at this business except if you quit. And you've all got involved with this now. There's no way that you're going to fail if you just stick with us and just keep doing what we ask you to do. The thing you're going to be successful. So I'm excited to introduce to you Mr. Mike Dimke. He's down in Arizona, going to be zoomed into us, beamed into us via the
Can you guys hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me. All right, can you guys hear me now? I lost my audio. Raise your hand if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
All right, there we go.
Yes, we hear you. Yes. I'm going to control your slides. Can you see your slides, Mike?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet? Almost.
So move it forward. I think that's what he's.
I'm trying to do that.
Oh.
I lost my audio.
Okay, but we hear you, so just
Raise your hand if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Oh,
All right, there we go.
Okay, just 1 second.
Mike, if you can hear us, we're muting ourselves, so you shouldn't hear us, and you should just hear you. So.
Okay, I think I'm experiencing like a 7-second delay. Yeah, I've got my headphones on. I'm just not hearing any audio and I don't see the slides, but I can go if you guys are ready to go. All right, here we go. Just give me the thumbs up if you guys are ready to go. All right, here we go. Let's hit to the next slide. Hey, I am glad to be with you guys today, and this is real exciting for me because whenever I'm asked the question, you know, what is it that we need to do, or what is it, excuse me, that we need to do to take action, I always look at, well, what is it that's holding us back from taking action? And so as I have been coaching and training, you know, a lot of people in this industry over the last year and a half, the one obstacle that keeps coming back time and time and time again is the stigma that this is an MLM. And that's one of the things that we have to overcome today, right? So here's the deal. After today, I just want everybody to understand that that's something that you're creating in your own mind. And it's something that you just need to understand where this industry is going. Okay, let's hit the next slide, Scott. So I got online and I started doing some research on some statistics with this industry, and I was actually surprised at how fast it's actually growing. So you got another slide for me there, Scott? There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me? Are you guys ready to go again? All right, let's get to the next slide. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about where this industry is growing. And so I got on Google. These aren't my statistics, but every week over 75,000 people are signing up into some form of network marketing in the United States. And part of that is it's become over a $40 billion industry. And 80% of the people that are doing this are using this as a second job with hopes to just make an additional $500 to $1,000 in extra income. And so that's kind of what has happened over the last few years with this industry and with the recession, and it's actually been growing pretty quick. And so at first, I want you guys to understand the difference between an MLM, direct marketing, direct network marketing, and so forth, because they are different. And I want you to be able to understand the difference. Companies that sell goods and services through a network of independent business owners, that's what we call our IBOs, is considered by definition a network marketing company. And so in this company, you've got the opportunity to sell products at retail, you've got the opportunity to sign people up and buy products at wholesale, which we call the preferred customer. And you've also got the opportunity to create and start your own business and build your own sales organization. And so what I want to do today in the next few minutes is teach you how do you do that? How do you build your sales organization? Okay, so Scott, if we can get to the next slide here, I'm going to talk a little bit about Dave Ramsey, because I think Dave Ramsey's a stud. I think he's really got some great advice, sound advice, very conservative in his approach to business. But he talks a lot about what is the upside of network marketing. And here are a few bullet points that came from off of his website. You have control of your destiny, but he wants to make sure that you understand that it's over time. Network marketing just doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to make it happen. Network marketing is not a pyramid scheme. A pyramid scheme is something that the last man standing loses, right? And so he points that out as well. He talks about all the many tax benefits and incentives of owning your own business. He talks about that this business can be developed and work. You can sell it someday if you desire, and it is a legitimate business, okay? The other benefit is you work for yourself and you have control of your own time, okay? So those are some of the upsides. So let's go to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit about the downside. Okay, the downsides are you work for yourself and you have control of your own time, right? I coach a lot of real estate agents. I coach a lot of people that are in business for themselves. And the biggest downside is they work for themselves and they have control of their own time. It's your destiny. If you work hard at something, you're going to be successful. And it's not different in network marketing. Okay. The other downside is many people don't understand what business they're in. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about what business you're in when you sign up to do something like this that we're doing here in Q Sciences. People get put off because of the stigma of the industry. People see people as a transaction and they try to use them to get to others. So that's kind of some of the reason why this industry has this stigma. It's because of how people have operated within the industry, okay? So how do we overcome all these downsides, okay? Let's go to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit about the importance of being trained, of having sales training, and more important, operating your business like a business. If you entered this business and you made the commitment to run this like a business, you would have set up your own business entity, whether that be an LLC or a corporation. You would be very cognizant of your time and your activities, okay? So here's some of the things that Dave Ramsey talked about that you cannot do in network marketing, or you're never going to be successful. The first thing he says is don't exaggerate your income. How many times have you heard people say, oh, I'm making all this money, but in reality, you know, it might not be that. Don't forget about the common sense business practices, meaning work from a schedule, work smart, understand the things that you're doing and that they are productive and they advance you in your business. Don't compromise your integrity. Don't overstate what this product does or doesn't do, or any of the products for that matter. Be very honest with people. Don't be that guy everyone runs from. Be the guy that everyone runs to, okay? And you do that by your integrity, by not overstating your income. And don't do it just for the money. I didn't get in this for the money at all. I got in this because of the product. And that's what's so unique about Q Sciences is the products that we have. They truly work, and it's evident by how many people are just buying it and not doing it, and not doing this just for a business. Okay, so the bottom line is network marketing is a legitimate business, and we need to treat it like one. And it's a very fast-growing industry. In fact, there's probably, I think the very first slide said there's going to be over 200 million individual IDOs that will join in the network marketing industry over the next 10 years. And so it is a very rapid growing industry. And so one of the points that I want to make today in overcoming this stigma, because it is an objection, is how do we handle this objection and this fear that we have in sharing this product, because we know there's going to come an issue, well, how do we buy it? And how do we talk about, that this is a direct marketing industry? And here's where you need to change your thinking from that this is a negative to a positive. And I have heard Scott tell the story many times. I've heard Tony tell the story many times of how they tried to get this product in big business, in big box stores. The only way this product can be marketed is through us telling the story one person at a time. And that's what we call direct sales. Direct sales is one person at a time. You are making contact with a person and you're telling your story. This product is blessing the lives of many, many families. And if we don't share this one person at a time through direct sales, it's never going to get out there. So we need to be proud of that. We need to understand our responsibility and obligation in working this business. But I want you to understand and know that, look, if you do this the way that you are supposed to do this as a legitimate business, then you are going to make a lot of money in this business. And if you do it over time, and if you understand the efforts that you put in this will be rewarded over time. It's something you got to keep working at day after day after day, and eventually it's going to grow day after day after day. And the number one reason people got into this business was to be able to gain an additional maybe $500 to $1,000 a month to help supplement incomes. But that $500 to $1,000 a month can turn into $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month. And so, in addition to what you're doing, if you spend more time just working in this business and growing this business, it'll be something that you'll be very proud of over time. And I guess, as far as the objection handling goes on this, you really have to understand your story because everybody's different. And so for me, I just tell people, look, I'm going to buy this product no matter what for the rest of my life because it's blessed my family. And I hope that it can do the same for you and your family, and that you can share this product with others that are looking for it. And so for me, I am proud to be able to say that, look, this is being marketed the way that it is being marketed, because that's the only way it's going to get to every single person in this world that is praying for a solution to issues that they are having in their family. And so last night I threw down some pretty strong challenges, those that you saw in my little Facebook video. So I hope that gets passed on pretty quick here, and that becomes as viral as the ice bucket challenge, right? So everybody that didn't see that, go to Facebook and check out my little video, because everybody's sitting up there. You guys got 48 hours, right? All righty, Scott, I am good unless there's any questions, and I don't even know how we would do questions, under this format. But I'm glad to be here on this Super Saturday, and I'm excited for this business, and I hope everybody just really gets involved and runs this like a business.
So I know Mike, I don't know if you can hear us or not. Can he hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can hear us. So thanks for being with us today, Mike. Your presentation will be available also. I know you have a lot more slides that you can share with us on some things, so that'll also be part of this presentation that you'll be able to download as well. So what were some of the key points that he said that you guys learned? Any things that you guys brought out of that? Back in the back.
I think it's that, this is a business, so we need to treat it like one.
Thank you. This is a legitimate business, right? This is legitimate. I mean, that's coming from a doctor that runs legitimate businesses, right? I mean, you've got what, 12 years of education, putting you to, and you're.
What a greater way to get started in a business for such a low cost.
Yeah.
But then it is a legitimate business, and we need to. So business training is always helpful. Business
Right.
Books, things like that. But yeah.
One
Mike
person,
did a
one
great
person
job.
at a time, too.
Pardon me?
One person at a time.
One person at a time.
That's how you build your business.
One person at a time. Right. So we're going to talk about that as well in just a little bit about driving lines and working with one person at a time. So, all right. Any other comments about that from our panel? All right. So hopefully we can move on to the next slide. David?
Yeah.
It's not functioning, so
Should be good.
it should be good. Okay. So we want to talk a little bit more now about communication. One thing I learned right away was 25 years ago when I was in this business, there was no computers, no cell phones, and the only thing that we worked with was regular landlines. We all carried quarters with us, because everywhere we went we had to use pay phones to call anybody or do anything. Then we found 800 numbers, and so everybody would use an 800 number and they could leave messages, and then we would communicate through that way. It was every time we'd land, we'd go to the pay phone, make a phone, see what our messages were, and everybody would leave us messages and things like that. So it's very, very different today on the way that we communicate. We've got some exciting things that we're going to share with you as well. So who are we communicating with? The people that we are introducing to the business, follow-up in other words, and then those that are on our team. And we have some experts here that are doing that extremely well as well. Let me share with you just a real quick story. I call this the halibut story because it's about a fishing excursion for halibut. There was some friends of mine that were, this is a true story actually, amongst most of mine, they are true, believe it or not. Most of my stories are true, or somewhat true. Little exaggeration, but this one is very true. So they're fishing, and they have out on a group, and they're standing on the side of the boat. Everyone has their line fishing. One of the gentlemen all of a sudden hooked this fish, and he's all excited. He's yanking on as hard as he can. Well, the next guy standing next to him, all of a sudden he got a bite, and he's jerking it at the same time. And suddenly the guy that's next to them also got a bite, and he's jerking it and trying to reel this fish in at the same time. Well, after a minute, they realized that they were all hooked into the same fish. And so together, the three of them were able to bring in this 125-pound halibut. And it was a huge fish, but that fish had gone along and bit each one of their baits and hooked themselves. It was really kind of a unique situation. Well, how is that relevant to what we're talking about today? Three-way calls are absolutely the key to having success. You want to include other people to help land those people that you're talking to. And so I can promise you, probably 10,000 three-way calls in my 25-year career at this. Now, three-way calls are really important. You do them with people that you're working with, introduced to new IBOs to your upline. Did that yesterday. And where did he go? He was here. Melanie introduced me to a new IBO yesterday that she has, and it helps set the stage for working together. It helps. You want to create a mailing list for your team so that you can email things. Now, I get them from Roxanne all the time. She sends out a really nice, very professional email to her team as to what the things that are going on. We're going to have her talk about that a little bit more. You want to invite your team to whatever it is that's going on. You want to be very proactive and don't just assume that they're getting the same information that you're getting. You want to become the go-to person and the person that people are looking to. You want to share success stories with them. People that are having incredible stories, you want to share those as well. One example is that if somebody buys an executive package, you want to let everybody know, because we don't really know that a person has made the commitment to do that. So you want to share that with them as well, so that we know what's going on. So we want to talk and have Roxanne share with us now some things that you're going to really like. She's an amazing teacher, high energy. We call her Roxanne Indianapolis 500 Things. So we're grateful to have her here.
Do you want to do a three-way call right now?
Oh, she's asking if I want to do a three-way call and kind of do a role play. Is that something that, okay, let's do that. So who do we want to do that? Okay, who would like to volunteer to be the role play with us? You're pointing to somebody. Tim? Dave? Tim, no. Okay, so we want to do, what do you want as a scenario on the role play? What would you like to do?
Somebody brand new that we're introducing.
Okay, so
They can hear you. Okay.
so somebody brand new that we're introducing it to, or do you want to do so we're going to be trying to recruit somebody, right? Or do you want somebody that's already in the business? What do you want to do?
Recruit someone.
Okay, so you and I are recruiting. Why don't you come up here so that everybody can see who it is that we're talking to as well. So, all right. So I'm gonna come over like this. This is Roxanne's other half, and so let's Tim. What we want to do is
I'll be the IDO.
you're going to be the.
I'll be the IDO, and I'm going to introduce Tim to you.
Okay, so you're trying to recruit Tim into the
Yes.
business, and so you and I are talking together. Okay,
Right.
so
Okay.
one of the problems that people have is, how do we get on the phone together? You know, they say, oh, it's uncomfortable. What is it that we do? So one of the things I love to do is just say, listen, I'm working on something. I'm really excited about something. I want to share something with you, and I want to know if you have a couple minutes that we can talk. And so that's what you would say to him.
Okay.
And maybe you and I are on the phone already, but we don't have to be. We can do it either way.
Let's not be.
So, okay.
Okay, so, hey Tim, there's something I'm really excited about, and I've learned a lot about it, but I don't know enough yet, and I have a good friend, Scott Malone, that he's been working with me, and I want to have him share it with you, to just have 5 minutes that we can talk if I just bring him on the call.
Sure.
Okay, ring ring, Scott.
Hello.
Hey, I've got a new guy, Tim Thane, on the phone that I'd really love to have you talk to. He's only got 5 minutes. He really doesn't know much about the product, but can you help me out?
Yeah, go ahead. Put him on. Let's
Okay,
talk.
three-way, merge calls. You can see it on your phone. Okay. Hey, Tim, are you there?
Yep, I
Okay.
can hear you.
Scott Malone, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Scott, this is Tim Thane. I've just been talking to him just briefly about something new that I'm involved in, and I wanted to introduce him to you. And Scott is a good friend of mine that works with me, Tim.
Huh. It's kind of odd. He has the same last name as you. Is there
She's been doing the business on the side.
Okay, good. Well, great, Tim. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, Scott.
So, how much time can you spend with us right now?
You know, I don't have a whole lot of time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
5 or 10 minutes. Okay, well, that's good. Well, let's just. Tim, what do you do for a living?
I work with families and teens who are struggling. I'm a therapist.
Oh, wow. So, how long have you been doing that?
Well, close to probably 20 years now.
Awesome. Well, how do you know Roxanne?
She's a cousin.
Awesome. Well, good. Well, you know, I was talking to Roxanne, and she spoke highly of you, and she thought that you would really like to hear what we're doing, and she thought you could really help us out. So she wanted us to chat and take a few minutes. And so let me explain a little bit about what we're working on, how you might be able to help us. Is that okay right now?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. Well, a few years ago, I came across a product, and a man up in Canada that had some amazing things happen to him. Long story short, the man's wife committed suicide, and his 9 children, 2 of those were diagnosed with the same problem, and he was told that they might also have the same problem of suicide. And so through a process that it's kind of lengthy, I won't go into all the details, he was able to come up with a nutritional product that really helped his family. And his one son, Joseph, it helped him so rapidly that his doctor was amazed and wanted to know what had happened. And so they started helping other people with it. It started to grow, and more people found out about it. And eventually, they started helping lots and lots of people. And long story short, they created a product that has been around for about 18 years now, never been marketed, but has had hundreds of thousands of people used it. And kind of remarkably, this product has had now today about 25 scientific research documents done on this product that shows the effectiveness of it. It's helped over 100,000 plus people. And about 2 years ago, this man agreed to share this with the world. And so there were some gentlemen that came together, put together a new company. It's called Q Sciences. And their purpose is to share this product with people that have certain types of problems. And let me just explain real quick who they might be. So how do you sleep at night?
Not very well. I struggle with that.
You know, really, that's kind of my story. Is that I was a contractor, and my back hurts all the time, but I've sometimes really struggled sleeping. And I took this product, and one of the first things I noticed is that it really helped me sleeping. The second thing I noticed that it really helped my digestion. Well, those are important to me because that's how it helped me. But the studies were done on people that have problems with mental disorders such as bipolar, attention deficit, those types of things, anxiety, depression, things like that. Do you know anybody that has any of those types of issues?
Most of the people I work with.
You know, that's kind of what we're finding. The statistics show that almost everybody knows somebody that would like to feel better and would like or would need a product similar to this. So really what we're doing, Tim, is that we're looking for people that you might know that we could share this information with and tell them about what we're doing, tell them about this product, share with them some information, knowledge that we could introduce this to and find people that we could help. We've helped lots and lots so far. It's really going really well. And Roxanne thought that you could really help us. What we're really looking for is this. There's three things. Number one, we're looking for people that could use this product. Number two, we're looking for maybe somebody that you could refer us to that we could talk to and tell the story that we're doing, what we're doing. And the third thing is that this is actually a really unique business opportunity. We're trying to find people that might be the right time in their life. Maybe they're looking for something else to do. Maybe they need a separate income, and we're looking for people that could join us in this cause or this crusade to take this product that we found to the world. Which one of those three ways do you think you could help us?
You know, I'm pretty busy. I don't think I'd be interested in the business, but I do know a lot of people, if that would work, that it sure be good for them to have.
That's awesome. Thank you. Would you like to try it yourself?
You know, I'd like to be the first one to try it, actually. I just think if that works, I'd like to personally know it works, and then I'd feel comfortable sharing it with a lot of people that need it.
That's good. Well, hey, that's awesome. So Roxanne can help you with all that, get you the product, and go from there. So awesome. Thanks for your time today, and we'll certainly be in touch. I'll turn you back over to Roxanne.
Nice to meet you, Scott.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Love you, cousin.
All right, good job.
Good job,
So
Scott.
now, the truth is that was very typical of what happens. Now, I always ask them for those three things. That way, it gives them, the things that they would want to know about. Because if they'll give me the name of somebody, then what I do is then we're going to call them up, and I'm going to say, hey, my name is Scott Malone. I know you don't know me, but we've got a mutual friend in Tim, and he and I were talking the other day about something that I'm working on, and he said that you might be interested to hear about it. Can I take a couple minutes to explain what I'm working on and see how you might be able to help us with it? And 100% of the time, I never get rejected because I've used Tim's name, and this is a friend that he's referred us to. They will always listen. I do the exact same thing. How much time can you spend with me? And ask them a little bit about themselves, tell them a little bit about myself, and tell them what we're working on, and ask them, here's the three ways that you can help us. How can you do that? And I also have a document in the back office under resources called Roadmap to Success. It's very detailed, goes through a lot of these scenarios, a lot of other dialogues on how you can do these types of calls, and they work really, really well. The other way you can do it is that you can get us on the phone. We're just together, and you can say, Scott, I've got 30 minutes. Let's make some calls. And you can just call somebody up randomly and say, hey, this is Roxanne. Hey, do you got a minute? I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Scott. He's on the call with us. we're working on something. I thought of you, and I want you to hear what we're doing, see how, you might be of interest to you. So they know immediately we're on the phone call to work, and it works really good. If you will do 3-way calls with your upline, with anybody, you will have tremendous success because it really does work. And I can promise you it's the best way to grow this business long term. So, great, thanks. All right. So we're going to turn the time over to Indy right here. All right. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I appreciate being asked. It's really because we're local that we got asked, but it's a good
not
thing.
At all. I needed some roses amongst the thorns.
He didn't want to wear pink, is what he's saying. I am grateful to be here today, and some of the things that I'm going to share with you are things that I've learned in our other businesses. I've been doing marketing for my husband Tim's company for 5 years, and a hog farm that we had, and I just learned a lot about marketing and branding businesses. And so when Scott says, well, what do you know? What can you feel comfortable talking about? I said, well, I'll tell you what I've learned over the last 5 years. But it absolutely applies. Now, when I tell you what I'm going to tell you, you're going to say, oh, I've heard that before. That's not new, Roxanne. Well, guess what? There's nothing new under the sun. But you just might catch one new thing, or because you're in a different place in your life when you hear it now, it might stand out to you. So I'm just going to encourage you to have an open mind, try to catch what you can, and I hope that it'll be a benefit to you. So, I don't know where all my...
Is that not the first one?
No, that's not the first one. Let me just start out by talking about branding. So, branding is everything that a company does to create an experience for their customers. It's visual, it's in communication, it's absolutely... it sets a tone. So I'm going to talk to you about Mac. All right, Mac computers. When you see or think of Mac, throw out some of the words, the one-word descriptions that come out. Okay, Apple. What else comes out? What comes to mind about the kind of company? Graphics, pictures. What else? Innovative. Sleek. Design. Interactive. Maybe even easy. Thought leaders, right? Okay. Now, when you think about the Q Sciences brand, I don't know where that picture is.
We don't know either.
All right. You know what? Just turn all these off because I don't want everybody reading ahead. But the Q Sciences brand, think about not just the Q, but I want you to think about everything that you see when you get on the website. What kinds of one-word descriptions come to you when you look at that website? Happiness. Calm.
2 words, feeling
Clean.
Feeling good. Clean. Mood disorders. The best. Life-saving.
Do the right things for the right reasons.
Right thing. Life-changing. I love it because it has all of that feel. They use a lot of blue and yellow and happy colors. It's positive. It's relationship focused. There's lots of pictures of families and smiling people. They seem healthy. They seem to be successful, smart, sharp, like their brains are functioning properly. And that is what I really loved about the Q Sciences brand. Well, let me tell you, you may not think it, but you are absolutely representing the company in everything you do. I mean everything. I mean, when you are talking in the grocery store, when you are chit-chatting with your girlfriend over lunch, you are still representing Q Sciences. You don't have to have a shirt on that has it. You're representing it. But I want to talk about 4 key things that I think will really help you in your personal branding as a business owner, as an independent business owner in Q Sciences. The first one, now you can put up the dress, is dress. Now, I can't even tell you how difficult this was to get dressed this morning, knowing I was going to talk to you guys about dress. But when we work with our coaches, we send therapists all over the country and into the homes of people who have money. And we could not send them into the homes of people who had money, who are successful CEOs in their companies, and say, you're messing up your families at home, and have them look like they were dressed off of a Kmart rack and that they were still paying their student loans. And we all still are paying our student loans. But the point is that you need to look credible. Now, when I say that, I don't want you guys going, honey, I got to go out and spend $1,000 on the credit card. It's all about my business. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to look like you are with it, you are hip, you are happening. I don't mean you need to do anything crazy, but don't be wearing your tie from 1980. okay? There are new sizes of ties. There are new styles. And you just need to be looking fresh and with it. I know that you think, oh, well, Roxanne, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I don't care. You get judged. Is that not true? You are judged. And every time you go into an event, you need to be dressed for that event. Now, next Wednesday, we're having a tailgate party. I don't want to see a tie at the tailgate party. That's silly. What I want to see a tie at is something where you're presenting. And you don't need to have a tie. Scott looks great. He looks great and professional. He looks like he's been successful, and he is doing things that I want to copy. So you need to dress for the event. Now, if you don't know what to dress for, get online and Google business casual. I don't want you guys feeling like, well, Roxanne said. No, Wikipedia said, okay? I want you to go online and figure it out. There's things that we do that make us look like we're going places and that people want to be a part of that. All right, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So dress is one key to your personal branding. Next slide. The next one is written and spoken communication. Written communication, let me just give you a little thing that I've learned. People in their lives are so overwhelmed with marketing and communication, just constantly. So everything that you do needs to be succinct. This is what I want you to remember. Write this down. Quick, easy, and leave me alone. That is how everybody wants it done. Give it to them quick, easy, and then back off. Let them do something with it. But it needs to be informative. They need all of the information in that communication. So before you ever click send, and I know we've all done this, especially with texting, where you send something like, that's not the right word, because there's been an autocorrect. I want you to go in and I want you to reread it, and I want you to read it as if somebody had just passed this 3 people down from you. And they don't know anything about it. Give them enough information that they know when, where, who's speaking, why it's important to be there. Use bullets. Use lots of white space in what you're writing. Don't have dense paragraphs, okay? White space. Because otherwise people see it and they go, oh, I don't have time. But if it's a bullet, 2 or 3, they can get to 3 bullets, okay? That's just a really important thing to remember. And also, in your speech, you want to be warm. Think again about the website and the pictures that Q Sciences chooses to use in their branding. It is warm, it is friendly, it's personal. These people that you're talking to are your friends, so you want to sign off with something cute or warm or see you this weekend, okay? You want it to be that way. It doesn't need to be sincerely, best. These people are your friends. You're going to be wanting to go on cruises with them. You're going to be wanting to spend time with them for a very long time. And please make it error-free and professional. There's nothing that screams, I don't know what I'm doing, like not capitalizing or whatever. And if you need to call someone else in with fresh eyes to read it, do it. It's very, very important to have things go out looking good. I don't want you guys to get all freaked, okay? I'm just giving you some things that you can just grab little pieces of and try to learn from and improve. Spoken communication. Smiling, massive. All right, they talk about the facelift that you give yourself just by smiling. It's the best thing you can do. Forget all creams, forget all surgeries, just smile. The other thing is showing genuine interest in people. I know we're super excited about Q Sciences and what Q96 is doing for our family, but just zip it for a minute and listen to what they need or what their experience has been. That is gold for people to feel like they are being heard. And then once they've been heard, guess what? They open right up to hearing from you because they felt understood. That is a very, very important part about your spoken communication. The other thing, and this is something I've really loved about every single person here at Q Sciences, from Gentry to Darren to Scott to Nick, everybody has just been, yes, absolutely, let me see what I can do. And then they might come back 2 seconds later and say it's not possible. And they knew it in the beginning, but they sure made me feel like they were going to try to get to the bottom of it and help me out. I've really appreciated that. Something you need to remember is that, yes, this company is young and it's very fluid still, which is very nice. But you also have the bad side, which is things are like, technical glitches, things like that are going to be coming along. So take advantage of this nice, fluid, accessible administration, or whatever you call it here. Upline. What do you guys call yourselves here? What are you? Corporate people. Okay. Take advantage of having that kind of access right now, but also you've got to show some patience. The other thing I want to talk about in your spoken communication is you need to stay positive. Yeah, there's glitches. What if we'd gone like, Dave, what is your problem? Can't you get this right? Well, then that tells everybody out there in Q-land that there's problems. We don't need to do that. You need to be backing your upline. You need to be backing corporate. You need to stay positive. no matter what's going on. And I'm not saying be Pollyanna and silly. Listen to concerns and try to get answers to those, but it is your responsibility to keep the energy going. And people feel a change in energy, which is my next slide on attitude. So I love this picture. Is this not the cutest little ping pong ball you've ever seen? Look at that. And that is the kind of world that we're in right now. Everybody is, they're like this on the government and this on the new healthcare system and work, and my kids are driving me crazy. So when you have a great attitude, people are attracted to that. And this quote by John C. Maxwell, he's a big writer in leadership and business. He says, people hear your words, but they feel your attitude. So if you're like, it's a great product, yeah, I like the company's good, people aren't going to be inspired to check into this or to try it out. They have to make quick decisions, like we just said. They are too busy, and they need it quick, easy, and leave me alone. So you got to get in there, you got to smile, you got to be positive, and you got to stay positive. That's part of my next slide, which is hard work. This is the fourth key on your personal brand. Across professions, I can't even see the guy's name now. Across professions, consistency is a direct product of work ethic. So it doesn't matter what your profession is, you have got to be consistent and you've got to have a good work ethic. Now, I know you guys are looking at this picture of gloves going, all right, well, we're not pulling weeds or we're not doing, hard physical labor. This is tough mentally, all right? This is what Phil said the other night when he was teaching his opportunity meeting. This is hard work, and let me tell you how. When you are tired at night, you still need to be moving your business forward. I've got some favorite things that I'm going to share with you. So when you're like, it's too late, it's past 9 o'clock at night, which you all know is the etiquette for when you can call people, right? Past 9 o'clock at night. Am I out of time? No, it's okay. I'm going to show them. What can you do after 9 if you have a few hours of quiet? Well, let me show you some of the books that you should have read. Here is Autumn's book. This is going to tell you the story of Empower Plus, but it's also going to tell you a lot about bipolar disorder. I don't know how many of you have ever read a book about bipolar disorder before, but man, is it eye-opening. The next one that Q Sciences carries, I think they might be out of right now, but this is by Aspen Morrow called Med-Free Bipolar. Another fascinating story that is really helping me understand what people with mental illness talk like, think like, act like, and boy, it sure does bring in a lot of compassion when you understand who you're talking to. Another one is one that Ken Forrest wrote called YQ Now. This is all about the business and why this is the time to get into this business, and it tells his story, so don't think it's all just dry like what we're doing right now. It's really great stories. And another one is GoPro, who this Eric War is a MLM professional, direct sales professional, and he gives you the tips to becoming a real network marketing professional. This is one of my favorite things. I don't know if you guys use Success Magazine. This is like $18 for a year. And my favorite part is that inside it has a CD every month that's free. And they get the best leaders in the world, and they interview them, and they have them on here. Now, a lot of times I throw away the magazine, and this is all I can get to is listening to this as I drive around. But talk about feeding your brain and your enthusiasm. This is a great way to feel like you're doing something even when you're exhausted. Let me just tell you another interesting thing about work ethic. You need balance in your life, and if you are constantly texting, if you are constantly on the email, your family is not going to be happy. And if they're not happy, you're not happy, and your business is going nowhere. So sometimes your work ethic might include go to the soccer game. Take your spouse out on a date, even if you're tired and you just want to sit in front of the TV. Get up and keep going, because you have got to keep your life balanced. Once you do that, the guilt is removed, and then you can go back to work, and everybody's feeling better about your work. So it's not just about doing this. Let me just finish with one last thought about work ethic. As it's been said before by Mike Demke, this business is not going to happen all at once. Many of us have worked in the world where you are paid immediately for your work, or maybe within 2 weeks. That is not delayed gratification. That's pretty instantaneous gratification, honestly. So if you can think about what you are doing now as building, and someday you're going to get that paycheck. You think like a farmer. You think about sowing your seeds now, waiting, weeding, watering, hanging out. You have to watch it and tend it, and then someday you will have that payoff. It's going to happen, folks, and you're here at a very exciting time in this company's history. This little I don't know if you've even shown this graph yet, but this little tail and then it scoots up, that is not only happening for the company, but it's happening for you. I have a sister-in-law, Candace, who has been doing the same thing. She has been learning about this business since September of last year. She has been working it. She has been doing the 100-day challenge that we learned about at the Rocky Mountain Summit. And guess what? Her business is just starting to take off. And she's rearranging her life. She's quitting her job. She's doing all kinds of things to get ready for the surge. She has taken her time to learn how to get around the back office, to set her goals, to make her lists. She has done all of that while it's been quiet, and now she is prepped and ready to go as it's taking off. It's very exciting. Again, please take what I've told you and just take a piece of it. If all you do is buy a new belt today, great, that's taken care of. And then move on to the next thing. What are you going to do when you get tired tonight? How are you going to continue to educate yourself and work and plan for who you're going to contact tomorrow? I think that if you'll just do some of these small things, you're going to see that they accumulate into something big. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, I just have one more little thing I wanted to show you. This is Maria Warnick showed this idea, and I just felt it was so good I wanted to make sure you had something actionable to do. I just created this little binder yesterday. I just grabbed the logo, which you can get on the back office, and called it my follow-up journal. But Maria had created a list, a contact sheet for each person. Now, some of you are great with Excel spreadsheets. Some of you use a spiral binder. This is so easy and doable. I think these are like $1.95 at Walmart right now because it's school supplies. And then you get these ABC tabs. They're about $5 at an office store. You make a whole bunch of copies of this, and it asks for the person's name, when you gave them a box, the bottle, notes, when you're going to follow up, which emails you sent, which testimonial stories you sent. Then you put it in here. Maria will flip through this every single day. She will go through every person, and if she needs to see somebody, she slaps a sticky note on it saying, contact them by Tuesday. That is what she does every day. I know this is so simple, huh? But how many of us are doing it? And you know what? This whole idea of done is better than perfect, I started it when we were talking about our slideshow yesterday. I started writing down the names of people I met on the cruise. I didn't go back the whole last year that I should have been doing it, but I thought done is better than perfect, so I just started. Just start. All right, that was it.
Okay,
Thanks.
awesome. So, great job, Indy. Super fast. Everything she does is fast. So we're excited. We're excited to have her. She's a little ball of dynamite. So some great points that she brought out, though. We need to recognize. Now, me, I really understand what she was talking about because I know from my personal life that I live those things. Now, when I started, 20-something years ago, I'd get up at 6 in the morning, study, do the things that she was talking about. By 8, 9 o'clock, I was contacting people. I was doing meetings till 11, 12 o'clock at night. I would then study till 2 in the morning, sleep from 2 to 6, get up and do it again. Over and over, 20 hours a day, 7 days or 6 days a week for 2.5 years. Phil, you were there, you know that time. So 20 hours a day, 6 days a week for 2.5 years before I came up for air. In other words, before I relaxed to see if it was going to continue to go without me. And not everybody will do that, but just know that if you do things consistently, like she was talking about, things change. One of the most important things is meetings, attending meetings like this. I'll never forget, they would do meetings up in Salt Lake. I'm in Arizona. I have no money. I'm just trying to figure out what to do. I'd hitch a ride with somebody. I would sleep on the floor, somebody's hotel room. I would walk into every meeting that I went to, had my little tape recorder. I recorded every single meeting that I went to. I would go back, and during those times, like she was talking about, after hours, I'm educating myself on what those people taught. And then I would put those things into action and try to figure out if they would work for me. And if they didn't work, I'd try something else. If they didn't work, I'd try something else. And I was like an airplane, constantly correcting its course to try to finally get to its destination. I tell people I literally failed my way to success. And that's really the attitude that you have to do. If you just realize that no matter what happens, you're not going to quit. No matter what anybody says to you, you're not going to quit. My forehead, I tell people, was a razor. No matter what negativeness came to me, it would just be gone. I just wouldn't tolerate it. I wouldn't listen to it. I would go right on to the next thing. If somebody told me I was a raving lunatic, like one of my family members, I would go to the next one. Because it doesn't matter. I just keep going. So that's the attitude. So meetings are critical. We're going to have, let's see. that's not there. Let's see, this is not Roxanne. This is actually
Melanie.
Melanie's going to talk to us today about meetings. And do we have her new slides or not?
We can bring him up.
So let me just talk a little bit about Super M here. I call her Super M because she truly is a super mom. It's just a super amazing person. Annie, her sister in the back row, was our neighbor, and about a year ago, in end of July, a year ago, Annie talked to us and said, "I heard about what you're doing. You need to talk to my sister." And so called her up and says, "Your sister told us I need to talk to you." And she says, "I said, what's going on? Tell me a little bit about what's happening in your family." And she said, "Well, we have a son that's had some problems." And she said, "Scott, listen." She says, "We've tried everything, and I know that nothing will work. And we've decided that he will either be in prison or commit suicide." It's a hard place to be as a mom, as a person with your children, believing that was the only hope that you had. And I said to her, I said, "Well, they're only vitamins and minerals. They can't hurt." So we put him on the product he came in on a Wednesday when nobody was here. Great story. Mark Wilson gave her the only products that he had, which was her only products. 2 days later, she started her son on those products. The following Wednesday, she called me. "Scott, are you where you're at?" And I said, "I'm in the office." She says, "Can I come and see you?" And I'd never met her face to face. And she comes into the office. And she started telling me the story. In just a matter of a few days, how suddenly she saw some difference. And suddenly hope came to somebody that had no hope. And things progressed, and things just started improving. The neighbors started seeing the change in this young man, and how he wasn't hurting other people, and he became just a fun young man to be around. And they wanted to know what was going on, and they'd come over and say, "What's happened?" And she said, "Well, I just started giving him these products, and we want some." Within a week or so, she's down here buying more products. And that meeting that she told that day when she met Mark here, she says, "Listen, I don't want anything to do with the business. I am just here to try to help my son." And that was really all it was. And that was her motivation, her drive. So as she's sharing, though, what happened with everybody else, because everybody was kind of demanding to know, things started happening. And she's buying more and more and more products and just reselling it, giving it to all these people. So November comes, and we started looking at things, and I called her up. I said, "Melanie, did you know that this month you're going to make $2,000? She's like, "I am? How did I do that?" She said, just keep doing what you're doing. Well, December, she said, "Scott, I need to know more about the compensation plan. I need to know more about how to do this business." And I said, "No, you don't. Just keep doing what you're doing, because that's the business. That's what really matters. Sharing the story, telling the story over and over and over, sharing the products, and doing what you did." And so what she started doing was really unique for her, and it really was something that she could do as a mom, as a stay-at-home mom with a family. And so are we ready yet? We're ready to go? Is this okay? So she's going to talk about what they've been doing, which has become so powerful and so successful now. And so Super M, take it over. Give her a round of applause, everybody. Thank you.
I'm excited to be here today. Like Scott told you my story, I didn't want any part of this business because I was so consumed with some of the issues we were having with our son, and I just knew I didn't have time. I thought he was my sole focus for 10 years, and so I didn't want any part of this. But as it's happened, it's kind of just happened gradually and naturally, and so when I'm asked to talk about it, I'm like, I don't really know how I'm doing this. So I've kind of broken things down today into a few bullet points in hopes to help you figure out how to do home meetings.
I got to make one comment. In this process, she went from bronze to silver to gold in 3 consecutive months. So, you know, she doesn't know what she's doing, but believe me, you know, if you do what she's doing, you have great success. So, anyway, I think that's worth a round of applause as well. And she got her car. And she went on the cruise, and we got to get she got her new car.
Yes,
so excited.
we did get our new car,
So
which was, you know, nice because our old one is 14 years old. So it was perfect timing. We're grateful. Okay, so anyway, when I first started this, like you said, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was excited about sharing the product. And at first, a lot of neighbors thought that was crazy. That's too simple to have, you know, nutrition be the answer to all your issues because they knew where we had been and what we had experienced. But I continued sharing no matter what. And Roxanne here is one of my neighbors that I shared with first. And there was an event at Thanksgiving Point, and I invited her, and she also invited Candace, who is here today, and another IBO that joined. And I shared my story there. I had no idea what a big event was. And it was exciting to be a part of it, but they were there just to hear what the product was. The next day, she said, I got all these questions, and I have Deborah, who is also here today. She said, she's here from Maryland, and I have to share this with her. Will you get Scott on the phone? And so I called Scott, and Scott said, let's just get together at somebody's house. So that's where our home meetings really started. And we got together just as a little small group, and Scott told us about the business. He told us about the products. We didn't know anything. I was taking it, but we'd only been on it a month, and I'd seen the benefits from it. And Roxanne and Tim started it at Thanksgiving Point. They started taking it, and they were just seeing the benefits. So we were all excited about sharing. And so the next week, Scott said, you need to start this every week, and you need to just get a group of people together, be casual, you know, do it at lunchtime, serve a few lunch items, and just visit. And that's where it started for us. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about what kind of meetings there are. We call our home meetings storytelling meetings. And this is the seating arrangement, I guess, for storytelling meetings. We just sit in the living room in a group setting on the couches, and it's more of a visiting session. There's also meetings with guest speakers. We've had bigger meetings every few months where we invite Mark Wilson or someone from the company to come and share their story. And that seating arrangement is set up a little bit different in rows, where it's more formal. Okay, so what's the first thing about doing a home meeting? I think the first thing is that you're all a little bit nervous. I can't invite people into my home. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know how it's done. And we start by setting a date. And now that we've gotten a lot better at it, we do it as a whole group. So our whole group participates, and we send out an email every Monday as to which meeting is where that week. But we try to do it a month at a time. And so we send out an email saying, this meeting's here, this meeting's here, this meeting's here. So everybody knows where the meetings are. And it gives everybody an opportunity to bring people that they have that are interested. So you first set your date. You go over your list. I know all of you have a list because you've been accumulating that as you've met people, as you've thought about people, and you look over your list and you start inviting. This invite can be many different ways. Most of our invites, to be honest with you, I don't want to overwhelm you with invitations and all the extra stuff. Just call them on the phone. It's so simple. A lot of our invites happen on the street, at the grocery store, at the post office, wherever you meet somebody that you're having a conversation with and this is brought up. Invite them to the next meeting. They will come.
Even at your home. I mean, she just sponsored her guy that was treating their fences.
That's right. He was here today, but he had to slip out early. But
Everybody is a target.
I bring it up in every conversation, no fail. It's very easy for me to talk about. So don't worry about fine details. If you want to, we have some great IBOs in our groups that have great ideas. One of our IBOs, Joey Whitaker, she has come up with this little flyer, and this has become easy for us to just hand out. Carry them in your purse. It has all your information, and now she'll put the meeting schedule on the back with a sticker. So she has one that says, see the meeting schedule on the back. And so she can hand these out to people that she meets so that they know when the next meeting is and how they can come. You can text people, you can have a formal invitation, or just phone call. But whatever you do, try to over-invite, because it is a numbers game. A lot of people won't show, and it is a dripping process. You have to continually meet people, continually talk to people. I am barely getting to share product with people that I started talking to 9 months ago, and they are now starting to come back to me and ask for more. So, no matter where you are, just talk about it. Okay, so now your meeting is approaching, and it's 1 to 2 days before the meeting. What are you going to be doing now? We always have food at our meetings. It's a way to get people visiting afterwards. It's a way to have them stay longer, to ask questions to each of us, to share our stories with them personally, and then maybe offer the business opportunity if they have questions about the business opportunity. So 1 to 2 days before the event, start planning what you're going to eat. It can be very, very simple. It can be a plate of veggies, plate of cookies. Don't get overwhelmed with a home meeting, because it is so simple and so casual. You can start following up. If you remember people you've invited, write their names down when you invite them so that you can give them a quick text, quick phone call, a quick email to just follow up and continue inviting and reminding. You're going to shop for your refreshments, and you're going to make sure that people are there to share their stories. Where we are doing this as a group, it's such a support for each other, because we might only have 2 or 3 new people, but if we have 10 IBOs in the room, we have a full house, and we continually share stories and can support each other. And so we always know as a group that we can call and say, are you going to be here tonight? I have a friend coming that has IBS. Will you share your story about the Qbiotic? Or I have a friend with depression and bipolar. Will you be here to share your story? And so 1 to 2 days before the event, you're going to want to call and make sure that those specific people are there to target the people that you have coming. Okay, this is what our agenda looks like. It's very informal. We don't do anything special. If it's at my home, I will give a brief overview of the products, the company, and Tony Steffen's story is key for us so that they know where this product came from, who it's helped, and why we are using it. Then I share our story. A lot of times it's neighbors, so they know my story, but it's nice to have a happy ending finally. And if it's at your house, do the same thing, because people want to hear your story. People want to know why you're involved with this company and why you're using this product. Then we open it up for others. So if we have other IBOs in the room, we might even have others from the neighborhood there. And they're not in the business, but they want to share their story, and they want to tell people what it's done for them. So that's a great opportunity in your own neighborhood to bring people in that you've already shared it with. It really validates the product. And then we dissolve into questions. And what we found is it's also a support group, because people that are using the product, maybe having a difficult time transitioning, it gives them a group of people that are behind them and can give them the support they need to get through. And some people it takes 2 or 3 months, but once they finally get there, they're feeling great, and they're there to support you in your meetings and to support others going through that. So, and then as we dissolve for questions and they're sharing their story, we turn it over to refreshments, and that's where a lot of the mingling happens. We try to keep it to an hour. People want it quick and simple. But we find that the visiting goes on long after, so be prepared for that, because that's where the questions come. That's where people really want to sit down and share what they're going through, the issues they're having, and see if there is hope for them. So it's a great way to give somebody hope that's struggling. Okay, then after the event, you're going to want to follow up with these people. You're going to want to process their orders. We did a meeting last night in Altamont. And we've had instances where you can't get on and maybe order a family pack online. So you're going to have to do it at the office. So we carry a pad of these order forms because on the back you can put in all of their credit card information and you can bring it in the office or call it in, get them on the phone and have them verify that they are processing that order. And so you want to follow up and make sure that all of those orders are made after your meeting. And then you want to follow up with those that didn't attend. Sometimes that's a little uncomfortable, but the next time you run into them, say, hey, you missed the meeting, but we're going to have another one. And consistency is the key. We found that, you know, they might have missed that one, but you always want to make sure they know there's another one. And eventually they will come. It might not be the first invite. It might be the 5th invite. But you are constantly dripping on people and letting them know that you're around. And then you're going to plan your next meeting. And like I said, this started with just a really small group when Scott told us, just get together and just visit. And that's what's evolved into what we're doing today. And so we involve our entire group. And if you're outside of Utah and you might be in an area where nothing started, you don't know any other IBOs, try to reach out on the back office, because even though they're not in your line, they will be a big support to you as you gather together and share stories. And so if you're local, you are always welcome at our meetings. It's something that I want to help people do and evolve into. And if you want to come and see how it's done, please feel free to visit us, because I think the more stories you have, the more people you have, your business is going to benefit, and you will definitely grow through that. And now our next thing that we're doing is, it got a little stagnant at my house. Our numbers started dropping and we weren't having as many people show up for our meetings. So we thought we need to get out to the other neighborhoods. So we reached out to the rest of the IBOs in our group and we said, it's open to whoever wants to have a meeting. This is really going to help you in your neighborhood. And we found that to be the most successful, because as we travel to each neighborhood, those people in that neighborhood feel much more comfortable in coming, because it's 2 doors down. It's easy, it's quick. They can slip down for an hour and do that. And so we let all of the IBOs in our group know, and everybody shows up that can to support that IBO and to share stories and to talk to people there. And so that has been a real benefit, and we've really seen our group grow because of that. I think that's probably covers everything, but consistency is the key. We are finding that those that are anxiously engaged in coming to a meeting weekly, they keep the energy going. They feel the drive to share. They feel the drive to help each other. But you start staying away from the meetings, the events, your excitement kind of dies. You don't really feel a need to share anymore. And so we found that this really works the best for us, that we can stay connected. We know there's always somebody that we can call if we want to do a 3-way call with somebody that has a story similar to what they're struggling with. And we just, it validates everything. And in my neighborhood, as I was sharing at the very beginning, a lot of people didn't believe what I was talking about. They're like, that couldn't be that simple. We know your issues. We know what you've struggled with. And to have this one little vitamin help you, there's just no way. But then once Roxanne got on board and she started running around and saying the same thing I was saying, that was my perfect neighborhood 3-way call right there. Because she just totally confirmed everything that I had said. So if you can just get around to your individual neighborhoods of your groups and just get 2 or 3 people using the product, you'll be surprised how quickly they share it with their friends, family, and neighbors. And before you know it, it's great, it's big, and we're helping lots of people, so that's why we're excited about it. So thank you for letting me share. And if you ever have questions about a home meeting, feel free to call me or attend ours. We'd be glad to help you get started.
So we finally got her presentation up on the slideshow, so that.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Q Sciences has this great Q It Up home style. So if you're alone in your area or you're nervous for the first time to present a home meeting, they have this resource that you can use to help you. There's videos here in the back that have different meetings on it. You can review them beforehand, pull one out if you know your audience and pick one that most pertains to that audience and welcome them to your home, and then put in the DVD and let it take care of it. So that's a way to get started, and then as you become more comfortable, you can start doing your own. All of the details are in here too, so anything you want to know about a home meeting, this booklet can help you with it. So thank you.
Awesome. All right. So, a couple more points. If there's no meetings in your area, like she was saying, just start them. All the tools that you need to know are there, ready to go. So we're almost out of time, so I'm going to go through a couple of other things that are real important, but I'm going to do them very quickly also. So number one, duplication. As a leader, you need to take the things that you've learned and gathered in, and then duplicate those with your team. Share them with everybody that's in your organization. Share all the things you learn. Identify those that are serious about the business in your team. Duplicate yourself through others. And you've heard this term, I'd rather have 1% of the efforts of 100 people rather than 100% of my own efforts. And really that's what this is all about, is getting a little bit from a lot of people and bringing that to yourself. That's how you create leverage income. Sometimes you find somebody, like these gals, and you just kind of says, I need to just get out of the way and let them do their thing, And that's really what you need to recognize that and let them just do it. I mean, they tell me what to do. They say, Scott, I need you in Altamont. I said, okay. So I drove from St. George to Altamont last night, and at midnight we got home. So you just got to be willing to go and do and let things happen. So use the business packs. A lot of people don't understand why these are so important. The business packs have some real value. They give you a savings of $200 off of the wholesale price of the product. They waive the $99 enrollment fee when you buy the executive package. It helps you qualify for the bonuses. Hold that, and then I'm going to show them real quick. So what the business pack basically is 4 of these packages. And there are a bunch of different ones. And why do we package them like this? What's the purpose of this? People want to know. You buy them, you get them like this, you got this box of packages. Well, so then you go over to somebody's house, you're having the meeting, and the person says, well, I want to get in the business, I want to do this. So then they go on, they place the order, they buy their product, but they have to wait for it to get there. So what do you have? You have a package of products, and then you can give them right there to replace the ones. When they come in, they will bring it back to you to replace that one. So they have the products there. If you start using them this way, you'll start having a lot more benefit because people can get them. The samples are the same way. When somebody buys a bottle from you and they order it, give them the sample so they have a 7-day supply to use right then until their product gets there as well. So use these packages that way and get the benefits of all the things that come from these. What I do with my clicker now? Okay, we're going to keep rolling here. Talk about step up, become a leader. Leadership in Q Sciences is claimed. Like I mentioned, there's no voting that goes on. You decide if you want to become a leader. I like this. Until you serve, you cannot lead. Truthfully, that's what it's about. Doing things for others. As you help other people become successful, then is when you become successful. That's what makes this business so pure and so honest, because you can't fake that. It's just one of those things that's real. And so as you help other people, then you get the benefit that comes back to you. People don't care how much they know until you know how much you care. Lead by example. Let's see. Go to the next slide. Drive lines deep. Most of us have limited times, limited resources. We've got to be effective with what we have and try to get the greatest return on our effort from the things that we're doing. And so driving a line is a technique that I've proven to work over the years of experience. And basically it's like this. Every time you enroll a new person, that creates a new line for you. I have in my group, maybe I've sponsored like 25 people in my first level. So I have 25 lines, right, in my team. And you have the same thing. It's just the way this works. One of those lines is more powerful than the others. Every month, one of those has more volume. One of those has somebody that's really excited. One of those has somebody that says, I want to do this business. Somebody says, call me. They call me and say, Scott, can you come and help me? And so those are the people that I'm going to focus with, and I'm going to drive that line as deep as I can. I'm going to work as far as I can, do 3-way calls as deep as I can, and solidify and strengthen that one line. And I'm going to focus on that because that's where I'm going to get the greatest return on my effort. And so if you do the same thing, you will notice a huge increase. And just like you said earlier about Candace's business, Candace is growing and working, and her business is growing. And the slide that I really like to show is this one right here, because right now, this is what happens in everybody's business. And as everybody does this individually, then the company does this as a whole. And so as everybody duplicates what's happening to Candace, where her business is growing, I mean, every month, my customer base grows by 25% or so. So we see this growth taking place. And as that happens in your own businesses, then the company grows. And it'll hit a point that we call momentum. And momentum, I don't know if this works. Yep, critical mass. This is where the thing really, really explodes. And I've been through this before. And this is what really is exciting, because these rooms just fill, people are packing in. Everything's going on. There's just so much excitement. And that's where we're headed to. That's the point that we're involved with. We're lucky to be involved at the bottom of this growth curve now as we're participating with this company. The other way I like to look at it is this. Now, you can't see that very well because of that slide, but what that represents is the company's beginnings in the center is small, and as the company gets larger and larger and larger year after year, the little piece of that company that we have carved out, and basically that's what we're doing. We are carving out to ourselves a little bit of the volume that this company creates every month, every week. And as we're involved with it over time, that will get larger and larger and larger just as the company gets larger and larger and larger. That's why it's critical to never ever quit, because you never know when you're going to find that one person that will change your business. And I say one person because really, honestly and truthfully, it's one person that will change everything for you financially. So just keep in the game, and you'll have tremendous success. Now's the time to carve out your piece of the Key Sciences pie. It's the happy company. Let's work really hard. Now, I've committed everything to this company. This is my future. This is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life. I love this company. I love the product. I love the management. I love being involved in the early stages of this, where we, all of us individually, have a say in what this company is going to be long term. Because Darren, who stands in the back, got here before anybody else today. He's working harder than anybody else. He's going to make sure that this company will be around long term. The only question is who's going to be here with him? You know, is it going to be you? Is it going to be you? Are you going to be here? Everybody says yes, but I guarantee you, in a year from now, there's going to be people that are going to be different. So you've got to decide today if you're going to do this. That commitment that you make today is what's going to continue to make that success for you long term. Real quick, 25 years ago or so, I apologize, but when I look back at where I was and then where I am today, I can identify one point, one event in my life that changed everything. I'll never forget it. October 15th in 1989, I attended a meeting in downtown Salt Lake. And I left that meeting very excited about the future. And as I pondered myself, and I thought, do I really have what it will take to learn everything, do everything, to be successful at this? And I found myself walking through the streets of downtown Salt Lake at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was at that moment that I personally said to myself and made the commitment that no matter whatever happens in life, to me, I will not give up or quit. And it was that moment that changed for me. I'd never done that before. I'd always been a person that was like water, that was always followed the path of least resistance. But I finally said, I'm going to make a stand today, and today is the day that my life is going to change. And I hope today we've given you some tools and help you realize that what we're talking about is a real business. We've heard Mike Dimke talk about how successful this industry is and how grateful you should be to be a participant in today's world where the economy is so poor and there's so many people struggling. We have a company that's growing, that's doing well, that's been making money from day one. We have a product that's in demand by everybody that you meet. We have a product that has countless scientific documentation to prove and to show how good this product is. We have a product that's been rejected by the largest corporations in the world, and thank God that they did, so that we could have this chance to market this product and share it with all those and allow them to have the benefit that's changed their lives like it had with those people that you have. Now, each of us have a grave responsibility, now that we know about this, to share this and make that commitment to share it with others. I hope that you take that on, do that. Let us know what we can do to help. I love this business. We're going to be here. Darren, we done? Come on back. We want Darren to kind of close us out. Thank you so much for being here.
Wow. Would you guys like to do this again? Is that phenomenal or what? So Scott and Dana and Mike and Roxanne and Melanie, what a day. I mean, just incredible. And, Scott said something at the end that I just want to close with, because my grandpa used to use this saying, taking the path of least resistance is what makes men and rivers crooked. And I will tell you this, is that it's work. If you're going to build anything in life that's worth anything to you, it will require work. And thanks heavens it does, because once you put in the effort, it's there to stay. Anything that's given to you easy goes away very easy, and you could care less. But when you put in the effort and you build something that lasts, we've been given a gift. Q Sciences is a gift to all of us. And like Scott says, I'm committed with everything that I've ever had and my family and the time that I have to make you all successful, because as you're successful, we'll help other people. Not a day that goes by now that I don't get a letter or a text where you all have changed, not just a life, I'm going to say a generation. Because there's a lot of kids on that wall around the corner that are now in better shape that will now carry it on to their kids. And that's what this business is all about. So how about one final standing ovation for these everyone, we're gonna break for 15 minutes. David Hall has been kind enough. He's going to actually do his presentation. So David Hall will be up in 15 minutes. Take a break, come back. You're welcome to walk around. There's a health fair down the hallway, and learn from another incredible individual, Mr. David Hall. For those of you who may or may not know, he invented really the cellar sizer revolution back in the 90s. He is part of Q Science as well, partnered up with us so that we have access to his incredible equipment. So come back in 15 minutes and learn. Again, thanks everybody.
That was fun.
That's so fun.
Awesome.
Thank you. I have a question.
Thanks, Sharon. Oh, yeah.
So awesome. I love you.
Yes, you guys are good. You guys are in practice.
Nick, we recorded that, right?
I apologize for
Oh, stop. I knew everybody was going to be mad.
amazing. I mean, Renee's there, Carla's there, Sandy's there, Heather's there. So anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Hope it helped. Great. You got my number?
We got it. Our friends family back here. We're married for 36 years.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. I want to thank you also for being at the earlier meeting. And David Hall has graciously said that he would stay and teach everybody about the Cellar Sizer, which is a phenomenal piece of equipment. And I personally have come to even love it the last 3 days even more, because the young guys have been dragging me to the gym at lunch, lifting weights, which you can also do in the Cellar Sizer. But I've been lifting weights, and I have become so sore that without the Cellar Sizer in my office, just loosening everything up about every hour for a couple of minutes, I can survive. So David, thank you another time. But anyway, everyone, David Hall is the inventor of the Cellar Sizer, and anybody that's ever been introduced into the rebounding world, this is the quintessential machine ever designed. I'm going to let David explain why, but you will never find a better piece of equipment that you can take. I myself, a couple of weeks ago, boarded a plane for Taipei, Taiwan. I took it with me. So it traveled from first to LA, then I took it to Taipei, Taiwan, to Tokyo, Japan, back to Seattle, Salt Lake. The following week we were on the Silver Cruise, taking everybody to the Bahamas, some of our top leaders. It traveled with me to Miami, all over on the ocean on the boat, because I jumped on it every day, which was very nice, and then back home. And I will tell you, it looks brand new. In fact, it's even broken in more, I believe, by just taking that travel, which is amazing when you can have something so strong that gets better with age. Right? Us old guys, we want to get better with age. I'll speak for myself. Anyway, please join me in welcoming David Hall up. So,
well, it's a privilege and honor to be here. I want to comment on the speakers that we just had talk to us for a moment. Scott, and we had Roxanne and Tim and Melanie and Mike and Mike Demke. I mean, these guys are leaders, and I'm just so grateful for them and the leadership that we have within the company, because they're there to help you become successful. That's their purpose. How many companies can we work with where the employer is there to make sure that you're successful? Most companies are interested in their own success. Well, here at Q Sciences, they're interested in yours, and they're there to work for you. And you can pull and draw from a lot of talent. I've often said, in order to have what we have not, we must first become what we are not. As we become what we are not, then what we have not becomes the natural manifestation of the person we've now become. But in order to become what we are not, we must first be able to see ourselves, each other, that which is around us, and that which is within us, not just as we are today, but as we can become tomorrow, which is the way I pray Heavenly Father sees each one of us. You see, the moment that you see yourself, not just as you are, but as you can become in your family, in your home, financial, career, physical and health, social, cultural, spiritual, ethical, mental, educational areas of your life, and you hold on to the vision, something amazing happens. It grows into a desire. It's the first step of faith, the ability to see things not as they are, but as they can become. So you hold on to a vision. You create the vision, you hold on to the vision. That's all it takes. The vision grows into a desire. Now, as you nurture the desire, that's a process of visualization, prayer, meditation, affirmation, proclamation, declaration. The desire then grows into a passion. Now you gotta have it. The passion compels us to action. The action helps create the end result. And I ask people, where does it all begin? It begins with the vision. Ideas affect the way we think affects the way we act, and the way we act to a large degree determines our results. So if we want to take charge of our results, we have to be willing to take charge of the ideas that we are allowing ourselves to be exposed to on a day-to-day basis. Because if we don't, then by default, the ideas that we are constantly being exposed to, they begin to take charge of us. And as a result of that, most people that I know live in a reactive mode. They are constantly, on a day-to-day basis, allowing the conditions around them to far too often determine the conditions within them. Our objective here at Q Sciences is to help you with a vision, to help you see yourself not just as you are, but as you can become. The reason that I joined Q Sciences is because they have a powerful vision. They've got an incredible product. They've got incredible leadership ability, and they've got a plan. And if you follow the plan and you work with your teams, you will become successful. Not just in what you achieve, but in who you become in the process of what you're achieving. And that's why I've joined my program with Q Sciences. They say if you could do just one thing for your overall health, the number one thing that you could do, you know what it is? Exercise. It's exercise. Yeah, and we're going to show you the number one exercise program that's available as well. So, what would it mean to you if your body consisted solely of well-adjusted, capable, stronger, healthier, more efficient cells whose ability to carry out their functions was greatly enhanced? How would that make you feel? How would that help you perform? And what quality of life would that allow you to lead now or 10, 20, 50, or even 100 years from now? That's what we offer within Q Sciences. It's an overall wellness program. It recognizes that everybody here has something in common with one another. You all began as a single cell. One very intelligent cell. A cell imbued with an intelligence that knows how to create, maintain, and heal the body. But far too often, rather than work with the cells, we end up working against them or manipulating them. And many times we don't even know we're doing it. Well, what Q Sciences offers is a common sense approach toward developing a better relationship with ourselves and ourselves. It literally recognizes that how we provide for ourselves today has a lot to do with how they're going to be able to provide for us tomorrow. Having the proper nutrients is essential to maintain the structure and integrity of the body. Having the proper exercise is essential for the body to be able to utilize the nutrients effectively. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. When I began this program in 1989, ironically about the same time that Scott mentioned his wake-up call, my wake-up call came as a result of an asbestos and pesticide poisoning. I was an insurance agent with Mass Mutual in Newport Beach, California. Average-looking insurance agent. I had a little double chin and a little belly, and not to offend insurance agents, but I was not in the best shape, and I needed to get in better condition. So I decided I was going to take 18 flights of stairs up to my office in the morning. And sometimes I'd only get up 9 flights, and I'd cheat, and I'd grab the elevator and take it up the rest of the way. But I got to the point where I was doing this pretty well, and huffing and puffing and breathing hard. And on this one particular day, unbeknownst to me, they were doing asbestos removal in the building, and they had closed off an entire floor. And as I'm huffing and puffing and heading up the stairs, the door was open, and all this asbestos dust had evidently been pouring down into the stairwell. I didn't know it. And so here I am breathing this dust, and I get up to and I didn't know that they were doing asbestos removal at the time, but I got up to my office, and my entire body started to shake uncontrollably. I was shaking. I was like, wow, I must have overdone it. So I sat down, and I just watched my body shaking. What happened? Well, the next morning, I woke up, and that particular day, they had also done pesticide poisoning in our apartment complex and in all of our rooms. So I slept that night, woke up the next morning, the right side of my lymphatic system had collapsed. It felt like a net that had just tightened up all around this side of my body. I could try to lift my arm up, and it felt like it was tearing. And so I took a hot shower thinking maybe it'll loosen up. I had no idea what was going on, but I didn't feel too well. Over the next several days, I got worse. My lymph nodes swelled up. My skin color changed. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what it was. I went to the doctors. They did tests. They didn't test for asbestos. They didn't know how to treat it anyway. But I ended up getting, over the next 2 years, large lesions that would grow in my neck and my shoulders and my face as the asbestos dust particulates were trying to get out of the body. I had 2 young children and a third on the way. My liver was shot. I felt horrible every day, and I had to keep moving forward. I began doing a lot of praying, a lot of soul searching, believing that if I could find a way that I could live long enough, because I really wasn't too sure at that time, that I believe my body could heal itself. And in that process of discovery and of trying various different things, I found a mini trampoline, and I started to use it. Well, within 1 month, my arms were bigger, and in 1 month, I dropped a belt notch. And my wife asked me, "Are you lifting weights?" I said, "No, I'm just playing on this thing before I go to work." After 6 months, I was feeling better. My energy level had soared. My stomach was flat again. People began asking me, "David, what are you doing?" So I started to share it with them. I was invited to speak before a Rotary Club, and then another one heard that I'd spoke, so I was invited to another Rotary Club, and it started to spread, and then it was Kiwanis and Lions and Senior Citizen Centers. I did that for about 3 years, woke up one day and said, "Why am I selling insurance?" I took what I discovered out on the road, and I reignited an entire industry, turned down nearly half a dozen infomercial opportunities because I wouldn't compromise the integrity of the product. I'd originally been using a typical rebounder or mini trampoline, and it kept hurting my back. 1995, my dad was permanently disabled on a typical rebounder attempting to do my exercises, and that was part of my motivation. So I'm gonna share with you what we discovered, but I'd like to share just a few testimonials with you, because is there anybody here over 7 years old? Is there anybody here over 7 years old?
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh.
Cells don't get old. They're always replacing themselves, but cells get weak. And when cells get weak, body parts and functions also get weak. Well, the great news is that we can strengthen and improve the efficiency of our cells at any age. And I'd like to demonstrate a couple of stories on that. This lady here, I'm going to show her to you in a moment. She heard me on the radio and started to Cellercise. 3.5 months later, she calls up the Seattle Times newspaper and says, "You've got to get this information out to the public." Seattle Times had no idea what she was talking about, but they asked her, "How old are you?" And Ruth Mary says, "Well, I'm 94. They said, "Where do you live?" So they did an article, put her on the front cover of Section E of the Seattle Times newspaper, sitting lotus style on her Cellerciser, telling her story. She writes me a letter, and you're welcome to read it. In the letter, she says that the Cellerciser saved her life, and she explains why. But then she goes on to say that since the printing of the article, that the Seattle Times has had more requests for copies of that paper and duplications of the article than of any other article it ever printed. We're going to talk about a whole different methodology of exercise. So if you're watching this, grab whoever you can, because you will never look at exercise the same way again when we're done with this. All right, another lady started. She started in her 80s. By the time she was in her 90s, she was skiing at 101. She's featured here. She was celebrating her birthday, tobogganing. Her daughter is one of my customers. This lady here began at 94. You can see her Cellercising, and then she's running in place, and then she's real proud of herself because she's doing jumping jacks. 94 years of age. So again, what I'm saying is cells don't get old. We can improve the efficiency of our cells at any age. I'll be 58 in October. I can't believe that. But I don't lift weights. I'm not a bodybuilder by any means. But the Cellerciser is the only thing I do. It's the only exercise I get. I've been doing it now for about 25 years. So my muscles aren't real big, but they're strong, they're firm, and they're that way throughout the body. The kind of strength that you get on a Cellerciser is totally different. For me to stand here, and I'm probably going to go out of the camera eye here, but for me to stand here with balance, which has nothing to do with age, we're going to talk about that too, it's a physiological function, period. We can improve it at any age. But for me to stand here, stick my leg out in front of me, sit down to the ground, and then stand up again, it's easy. It's a byproduct of what the Cellerciser has done. Juan wrote me, he says, "David, you should warn people it's going to affect their vision." I said, "Why? What happened?" He says, "I used it. After a few months, I put it in the closet. I wouldn't go anywhere near it because every time I put on my glasses, after I used it, it got harder and harder to read." I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "Well, I finally went to the doctors." "What did they say?" He said, "I needed new glasses, but with less power." He said, because it had improved his vision. I said, "Would you be willing to write that?" So he did. He says, "My vision has improved. I used to have 5.5 diopters. I now have 4.5 diopters. I'm nearsighted. I thought I was getting worse because I could not read. I needed new glasses, but with less power." Thank you, Juan Crivetto. Lady here. I'm sharing some of these with you because we all know somebody who's got knee problems, hip problems, back problems, digestion elimination problems, circulation problems, stress disorders, bladder control issues, headaches, the list goes on and on. And when your cells are stronger, healthier, working more efficiently, and your circulation is better, the body parts and functions work better. We have no limited audience. We have children with autism jumping on a Cellerciser, and mothers who call me up to say, thank you so much. It has changed our lives. This is, it creates balance. We're going to talk about balance, and you're going to see some demonstrations of that. Lady here, she says, I invested in the Cellerciser from you at the Denver Whole Life Expo. It's been a while, but for various reasons I had not consistently used it. She says, however, since last mid-August, I have been consistently using it from an average ranging from 15 to 30 minutes a day. I use a timer and track my minutes for morning, afternoon, and evening jumps. I had the test for osteoporosis done last July. My T-score was negative 3.1, which meant I had osteoporosis. I just had the test redone in mid-April, and my T-score had improved to negative 1.7 into the range of osteopenia. Doctors say you can't improve your score, and even alternative medical professionals usually say the score can only be improved by 0.2 or 0.3 if you're lucky. I just improved mine 1.4 points in less than 9 months, so 45% improvement. I've been tracking my T-score since January of 2000. This is the best score I have ever had. So, and she says, I credit the Cellerciser for my improvement because it's the major consistent lifestyle change that I made beginning mid-August. Lady here, migraine headache since 1958. Calls me up and says, can I use it? I said, can you walk? She says, not really. I'm bedridden. I'm on IV medications. Lidocaine, morphine. I mean, I can't even pronounce all of these. Vicodin, Imitrex, and Loricide. She says that she couldn't take any more medications because her body functions were beginning to shut down. She had a tremor disease. She couldn't even hold a glass of water steady. I said, you may need somebody to help you get on and off it. Use it for a little while. If it works, great. If not, you can return it. 30-day money back anyway. So she gets on it. I didn't hear back from her for 30 days, 60 days. 90 days go by and I get a 2-page handwritten letter. Her handwriting's better than mine. In this handwritten letter, she says, David, for the first time, and you're welcome to read this, it'll bring tears to your eyes. It has to mine many times. She says, the first time since 1958, she is totally migraine-free. She's off all pain medications. Her tremor disease is gone, and for the first time in 4 years, she's able to paint again. She writes me the last paragraph. She says, since having such great results physically, I'm feeling so much better mentally. First, I give thanks to the Lord and thank Him for you, your work, Dave, and your development of the Cellerciser. How much pleasure and satisfaction you must receive from your work. Thank you so much. The Cellerciser has given me a new lease on life. The list goes on. Ladies who got rid of their cellulite in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. Is there a market there? You know, doctors who told me they took one look at my Jamba run, it's a technique I developed on the Cellerciser, and they said, David, that's so intense it'll grow new capillaries, which had to have happened for them to get access to that wide adipose tissue. This gentleman here, one more and then we're done. This gentleman here, his name is Robert Gent. And when I met Robert, he'd been a semi-professional athlete from the 70s and wasn't able to compete anymore. He'd torn up his knees and his back was not in good condition. And I talked to him about this, and Dr. Corman understands it. I talked to him about the supporting muscles and ligaments around the joints and how essential they are to support the skeletal system, which can't support itself. So often through weaknesses in the supporting muscles and ligaments or compromise through injury, we end up with too much stress or tension on the joints. We lose circulation between the joints. We lose the synovial fluid and in the cartilage, and we end up with bone on bone and a lot of problems. And what we do is we have surgery, and they replace the knee or they replace the hip, and it's a Band-Aid to the problem, often. And there's other issues that come as a result of the implants, where the osteoblastic activity is weaker around the implant itself, continues to deteriorate, and we have more problems. When we address, which is what I did, address the supporting cause of the problem, which is often simply re-strengthening and structuring the muscles and ligaments around the joint, very often the problem goes away. Well, I worked with Robert for about 2 hours, teaching him numerous techniques and working with him on the Cellerciser. He did it, took it to heart. A few months later, he goes out for the Senior Games pentathlon. He wins first place in all of North America. He's considered the best on the continent. In his 60s, he leg presses 880 pounds. In his 60s, there he is, best on the continent. And he writes me a letter. He says, David, it's been miraculous the positive influence that your trampoline has had on my body. I've spent thousands on supplements the past 15 years. I've tried every strength, Pilates, stretching routine available. And nothing has worked like your, we don't say this word, but nothing has worked like your tramp to help me get my joint and muscle health back. Helen and I are sold on what you created. The list goes on and on. Since we're all made up of cells, about 75 trillion of them, doesn't it stand to reason that if each one of your individual cells were stronger, healthier, and working more efficiently, that your body parts and functions would also be stronger, healthier, and working more efficiently? Does that make sense? Okay, what I'm about to share with you right now, this isn't science fiction. This is science fact. But this isn't the exercise of the past. I call it the exercise of the future. We just make it available to you today. This is exercise at the cellular level. We've all been exposed to exercise at the muscular level, haven't we? We've bought into the idea that you have to tear down to build up. You'll never see a monkey, cat, dog, or any other animal or species out there tearing down to build up. We've learned how to manipulate the body. We've done it with drugs. We've also done it with exercise. It's okay. We know how to do that, but when you tear down to build up, you build hard muscles. And if you take it to extremes, you lose flexibility, timing, speed, and coordination. Ligaments and tendons take longer to catch up to the muscles, which is why cellular size is so important for people who are doing CrossFit, fitness programs, and weightlifting, and who are involved with athletics. Because if the ligaments and tendons can't support the strength of the muscles, we end up with more problems. And some of them can be permanent. And so the idea of no pain, no gain, you got to tear down to build up. You've got to do 20 minutes of aerobics as if your cells have watches. And 20 minutes means anything to a cell. I'll show you how to challenge your cells beyond their current capacity so they adapt to the challenge you give them. The amount of time is relative to the overall program as how the cells are challenged within that amount of time. Have to sweat. You've heard that you have to sweat to get a good. Sweating just means the body's overheating. It's the only way it knows how to cool itself down. You can get all the exercise you need without sweating if you want. And I'll show you how you can do that too. I'm not saying sweating is bad for you. I'm just saying that it's not necessary and not appropriate in all environments. The fitness industry has capitalized on the idea of you thinking in terms of muscle groups and body parts. It's never treating the body collectively as a whole as much as it is you work one area of the body, then you work another area of the body and another area. And that's demonstrated by the myriad of different exercise equipment we've been exposed to over the years. You've probably heard of some of them. Wedges, abdominal boards, rowers, ski toners, porta bike, fitness climbers, stairmasters, health riders, Nordic track, Schwinn Airdynes, Life Cycle, Life Force, Stem Cruncher, Thigh Masters, Ab Blasters, Soloflex treadmill, Cyclone Body Gym, Total Gym, Torso Track, Full Flex, Gazelles. The list goes on and on. And let's admit, as long as we buy into that methodology, we can pretty much rest assured every 6 months or so the fitness industry will find another way of packaging another piece of exercise equipment just a little differently to motivate you to add to your ongoing collection. Because frankly, that's how they make their money. And yet the principle, and we're going to talk a lot about this, the principle upon which all exercise is based is exactly the same. They all work by applying weight or stress to a certain part or function of the body over and over until it adapts by becoming stronger. And all those body parts and functions and muscle groups are made up of what? So suppose there was one exercise which at the cellular level would apply weight to every single muscle in your entire body over 100 times a minute, strengthening all your muscles all at the same time. But it will go well beyond that. 75 trillion cells flexing over 100 times a minute instead of a few muscle groups can burn a lot of calories. Reduce body fat. Firm your legs, thighs, hips, buttocks. Strengthen your arms. Increase agility. Improve balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination. Stimulate the thyroid, the adrenals, and the endocrine system. Detoxify the liver. Help to improve kidney circulation, digestion, and elimination processes, which are critical for good health. Help to loosen the lower back, increase oxygen blood flow to the brain. Help to open up blood vessels and arteries. A program that's being featured more and more in health magazines and books and articles that encompass the entire body now as a whole, not as parts. This is a program that includes an isometric for toning the body, but it doesn't just tone from the inside out. If you want to become firmer, tighter toner, we generally work from the outside in. But when muscles get weak, we know they sag. What happens to the internal organs when they get weak? They drop too. We get in our mid-30s, everything falls. We think that's part of the aging process. How many are over 7 years old? It's not. It's weaknesses that are occurring within the body. Connective tissues hold those internal organs in place. One of the reasons boxers do a lot of jump roping is to help strengthen those connective tissues, so when they get hit in the head, the brain's not loose up there, crashing against the skull, causing a knockout. So these help to tighten and tone from the inside out. Isometric, isotonic, for muscle mass and bone density. But not by lifting weight away from gravity. It's by increasing the weight of gravity. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Calisthenic for targeting. I'll show you how you can target to focus on the thighs, the knees, the hips, the buttocks, the waist, the arms, underneath the chin, opening up bronchial tubes in the lungs. How to improve a golf swing naturally, a baseball swing, tennis stroke, being used by professionals for this very reason. It's a program that is an aerobic for conditioning. And it's a flexibility program, all, now listen to this, all within 10 minutes a day. The whole thing. It does it all within 10 minutes a day. In the convenience of your own home, at the office, or while you travel, you don't have to change your clothes, and you do not have to break out into a sweat in order to enjoy its benefits. Anybody interested? Sound too good to be true? Yeah, it would be if we were talking about the current methodology of exercise, but we're not. We're talking about a whole different methodology. In fact, I don't even like to call it exercise. Can I have everybody say exercise?
Exercise.
Now say cellular-size.
Cellular-size.
Thank you. With cellular-size, you'll never have to exercise the same way again. A basic understanding of how all exercise affects the body will help us to better understand cellular-size. I'd like to propose that the common denominator of all exercise is opposing the gravitational pull of the earth or creating some sort of a resistance. Let's examine the statement. If I were to lie down and do push-ups, I apologize for those on the screen, what is the force I have to push away from to lift my body up? Gravity. If I'm doing leg lifts, what force do I have to oppose?
Gravity.
Pull-ups, sit-ups, same thing. We can apply the concept to the accepted aerobic activities of walking, jogging, and running. When I take my center of balance, which is right about here, it used to be a little further forward, about here. But as I move that, some of you can relate to me, I'm sure. But as I move that center of balance forward, I feel the force of gravity pulling down on me, causing me to take a step, or I land on my nose. We can apply the concept of weightlifting. Weightlifting is simply taking a mass of something and moving it away from gravity over and over. As far as the body is concerned, do you think it cares how sophisticated the equipment is? It doesn't matter whether it's connected with pulleys, fulcrums, wheels, arms, cables, chains, or rubber bands. At the end of the cable, the chain, or the rubber band, you still have the weight or the resistance. And it is simply the weight or resistance against the cell membranes over and over that causes the muscles to get bigger and stronger. Because the cell doesn't want to rupture, it fortifies its membrane with more protein to compensate for the increased amount of weight. Swimming's a great exercise, except for the chlorine. That'll kill you, just does it a little bit at a time. But irrespective, what is it that pulls down on the water molecules, creating the density necessary to allow us to have the resistance to move against the water? Gravity. So you see the common denominator then of all exercise is opposing the gravitational pull of the earth or creating some sort of a resistance. Now if that's the case, then all I need to do to become stronger is to learn how to stand heavier. Right? Like this. Not exactly. But I am going to show you a way that you can stand heavier over 100 times a minute. The key to cellular-size was given to us as early as 1911 by Albert Einstein. He observed that the human body cannot tell the difference between the forces of acceleration, deceleration, and gravity. To the body, it's all weight. Well, we have a good working knowledge of gravity, so let's consider a moment the forces of acceleration and deceleration, and let's admit these forces exist. And they have the same effect on virtually any body, because we're all made up of cells, and they pretty much adapt the same way when challenged. Anybody here have a sports car? I don't remember. Corbin, do you?
Yeah.
Yep. What do you have?
I have a Range Rover.
Okay, there you go.
Supercharged.
Supercharged. All right. Now you can feel, when you step on that supercharger, when you step on that gas, you can feel the weight of acceleration pushing you back, right?
Yes.
You bet.
Exciting.
And when you come around the corner and you see the deer in front of you, you hit the brake or the decelerator, you feel the weight of deceleration pushing your body forward into the seat belt. Those are forces, and they're real. the fitness industry's really never harnessed them before. And it's probably due to the fact we generally experience the forces of acceleration and deceleration horizontally. And most of us are not going to be going around hitting the gas and the brake all day long to create these G-forces or weight-bearing activities. We generally experience the force of gravity vertically. What if we could line the forces of acceleration and deceleration up with gravity and combine 3 forces on the body and not just one? We'd have a whole different methodology of exercise. All we would need is a piece of equipment that would allow us to do it. Guess what? Got one. I call it my portable gym. I was at the National Health Federation in Pasadena, California once, and I was talking about how portable it was, and somebody raised their hand, and I answered. I said, yes. And he says, well, can I put it in the glove compartment of my car? I did a double take. I said, I don't know. How big's your car? I think he meant the trunk. But yes, it can fit under a trunk, under a bed, behind a door. I take this with me in the overhead luggage bin of most commercial airlines. This unit here is either 9 or 10 years old. We don't know exactly when. I've got to figure it out. I take it with me. The more you use a Cellerciser, it becomes like a slipper. It just feels better and better. All the moving parts just gets more adapted to the movements. It feels great, but I also want you to see how well it holds up. The newer units are built better than this one. Now, the Cellerciser has a unique history, and I'm not going to go into great detail, but I want to give you a little background so that you can help other people who think that a typical rebounder is something that they can get the benefits from. When I began in the industry back in the early 90s, virtually every unit on the market, they were all using these little tube springs. You're nodding your head. You know what I mean. These little tube springs would stretch only a little bit. At the end of the stretch, they didn't slow you down gradually. They just stopped very abruptly. A jarring effect that could often break the spring, which could also damage the person using it. In 1995, Dr. Morton Walker came out with an article in the Townsend Letter for Doctors warning doctors to avoid these, saying that the abrupt jarring effect was the same as landing on the floor. He just did it a moment later. Well, I then introduced, in the early 90s, the barrel-shaped spring. I call it the soft bounce rebounder, and I traveled all around the country reigniting the industry. The barrel-shaped spring allowed the body to gently decelerate and accelerate without the jarring effect. The problem is that everybody started coming out with barrel springs, and they all look the same until you stand on them. When the steel in the spring is too weak, you sink, and the feet pronate every time you land, causing ankle problems, knee problems, lower back problems. So I had to do something about that. I then created the triple-tiered tapered spring design. I don't know if you can see that, but it actually has a ridge here where it tapers, then another ridge where it tapers, so that the ridge helps to focus the weight toward the center of the spring. It's a different feel. Great support. It doesn't matter whether you're 100 pounds or 300 pounds. It's the only self-adjusting type spring of its kind on the market. It's our patented design made available through Q Sciences. The steel in this spring is so strong, it destroys conventional spring molds. So we had to create a tungsten steel mold just to be able to produce our springs. You'll utilize the center portion of the spring. If you are jumping higher or you weigh more and you need more spring, then it graduates toward the other end of the spring. But you do not ever come to an abrupt stop or jar. So you get G-forces without the jarring effect, which allows you to get the advantage or have the advantage of the different movements I'm going to share with you. Okay, to open it, real simple. Lay it on the ground. It zips open. This is what it looks like. Don't confuse this with a toy. It's not. You can't buy these at a Sears, Kmart, or sporting goods store. Lie the unit down on the ground. Open it up so it looks kind of like a taco, and pop open the taco. Literally in less time than it takes me to put on a tennis shoe. I'm ready to begin Cellercising. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more about some of these features because they're what sets the Cellerciser apart, just like the Q96 is set apart from other nutritionals. This mat material, this is not made out of the canvas, nylon, or plastics you can find on typical rebounders and mini trampolines. Canvas, nylon, and plastic mats look the same, but the material can stretch, rot, and mildew. When the material stretches, your feet have a tendency to pronate every time you land. There's units out there that use bungee cords or rubber bands. They warm up, they become very sluggish. Same thing. Landing like that over time can cause ankle problems, knee problems, and lower back problems. So Again, we use a triple tier tapered spring, and our mat material is made out of a polypropylene where every fiber is put under nearly 200 tons of pressure. It's a lot of weight. You leave it out in the sun, the rain, the snow, it doesn't matter. It's all weather resistant. They make swimming pool covers out of it now because it's UV resistant. I use it because you can't stretch it out. You land anywhere on it, it lifts you straight up. Even at an angle, it lifts you up. You land on a mat that stretches some, not only can your foot roll on you, it can throw you off. You won't feel very secure for the different movements. The springs do not connect directly into the frame. We never wear the frame out. We drill 36 holes through the frame, put steel pins through the holes, and connect the springs to the pins. The frames will last virtually forever. The legs don't screw on, so you don't have to tighten them down. They don't get stripped, stuck, or lost. They fit over a steel post, held in place by heavy-duty piano wire. One of the best wires you can get. Even the rubber tips aren't rubber, they're polymer. They last for years. We've never worn one out. Okay, I'm ready to demonstrate. Cellercise. I just need to change into my Cellercise outfit. So if you'll pardon me for just a moment. Okay. That's it. All right. You don't need anything fancy. We're thinking about special Q-sign socks with little rubber things on the bottom, possibly, but you don't need anything special. As I stand here, I weigh approximately 160 pounds, or 1 G. That's the weight of gravity. But as I start to move just this high, a remarkable thing happens. I no longer weigh 160 pounds at the bottom of the bounce. I now weigh closer to 200 pounds, or 1.25 Gs. Now we can measure that with a G meter. Do you know what a G meter is? You may have one in your own home. You have people get up in the morning, they walk into the bathroom, step on it, look down at the needle, and some of you even call it by name. Oh, G. G meter. Okay, bathroom scale. All right. Well, if you're going to take that G meter or bathroom scale, put it on the Cellerciser, and then you jump up and down on it. What would happen to the needle on the scale? Yeah, it would fluctuate, registering the greatest amount of weight at the bottom of the bounce. Well, we know that 160 pounds comes from the weight of gravity. So where does the other 25% of additional weight that I'm putting on my entire musculoskeletal system, where's that coming from? Yeah, the forces of acceleration and deceleration. You see, as I jump up and come down, I load the springs. That's known as the force of deceleration. The loaded springs then push me back up. That's known as the force of acceleration. Whenever you add the forces of acceleration and deceleration on the same vertical plane as gravity, you end up creating an entirely new G-force that every single cell of your body is constantly being exposed to. So the question then becomes, well, what happens to the cells of your body when you alter or change the G-force? And part of that was illustrated very nicely by NASA, who discovered when the astronauts are in outer space for 2 weeks, they can lose up to 15% of their bone and muscle mass simply because they're weightless. When they're up there for 2 to 3 months and they come down, they're not even allowed to stand up. They're helped out with a stretcher because the body's atrophied. All exercise is trying to reverse that. Well, NASA didn't have time to put weight on all these muscle groups and body parts. What if they missed one? Like the heart, and it was important. They had to find a weight-bearing exercise that was on the entire muscular skeletal system, everything. So they did the research on trampolines in the late 70s, published their findings in the Journal of Applied Physiology. That research led to the mini trampoline industry. However, the units that came out did not support the research until we created the tapered spring design that allowed for acceleration and deceleration. And that became the weight-bearing exercise. So doctors know bones and muscles heal faster and grow stronger when exposed to some stress, right? That's the idea behind the walking cast. Well, as I stand here on a Cellerciser and I start to move up and down, how many cells in my body are moving up and down with me? Yeah, all 75 trillion. If we were to ask any physical therapist, what is the formula for strength? They're going to agree it's stress times repetition. You stress a certain part or function over and over, it adapts to becoming stronger. Well, since I am putting this weight or stress on every cell as I move up and down, what are the cells going to have to do to compensate? Again. They're going to have to get stronger, aren't they? Because if I didn't, I'd eventually get shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, the body adapts when you apply weight to it by getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Okay, the physiological implications of the G-forces created on the body through the movement up and down, how it moves fluid through the body, how it backflushes valves, very important for health, how it increases oxygen blood flow to the brain and tissue spaces of the body, how it stimulates the thyroid, the adrenals, the endocrine system, liver, kidney, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, vestibular balance, proprioceptors, The list goes on and on. We don't have time for it all. But what I would like to do is share with you a few of the basic exercises that we can all benefit from right away. And the first is what I call cell aerobics. Nothing magic about the term aerobics. It simply means that all the cells of your body need oxygen in order to utilize nutrients, by the way, and to burn calories. They receive the oxygen from the oxygen delivery system, which we call the cardiovascular pulmonary system. That's made up of your heart, lungs, arteries, capillaries, and veins. So an aerobic exercise is virtually any activity that stimulates this system to more efficient oxygen delivery. Now, most of us know that walking is as good an aerobic exercise as running. It just takes a little longer. So would this qualify then as an aerobic exercise? And notice the hips are allowed to drop down into the mat, so you're not hitting a hard surface. It can help loosen the lower lumbar. How about this? Does this qualify? So even if I were blind, I could get all the exercise I needed without running into anything or anybody. And if you wanted to train for a special athletic event, well, there's nothing to stop you from doing this. You do that for a few minutes, you'll have steam coming out of your eyeballs. That's a vigorous aerobic activity. But I left a few things out. Barking, biting dogs, rain puddles, potholes, carbon monoxide poisoning, curbs, mailboxes, and rollerbladers that jump out of nowhere. And we've replaced some of the negatives of aerobic activity with some of the more comfortable elements, such as being at home with the family, with the radio on, the air conditioning, or the heater, or simply a lock on the door for safety and privacy. And notice, one size fits all feet. So if you're not using it, your spouse can. If they're not, your children can. And if they're not, grandma and grandpa can. How many people need aerobic activity in their lives? Yeah, we do. How many people need the jar of hitting a hard surface? Okay. I agree. All right, the next exercise is what we call the mighty bounce for building up muscle mass and bone density. I don't do a lot of these. It's more the repetition, but this is effective. But it's not so much the height as it is the intensity of how those cells are challenged. But we generally think of a strength exercise for building up muscles. If we take a dumbbell and we do repetitions of lifting the weight away from gravity, we generally will reach a plateau, right? Eventually. And then we increase the weight and we maintain the repetition and the muscles get bigger and stronger, right? Okay, simple. It's tearing down to build up. It's a different kind of muscle. Nothing wrong with it. I'm going to explain the difference in a moment, though. We've already determined that exercise is a weight-bearing exercise, and that it's opposing or creating G-forces on the body as I move up and down. So, if I wanted to increase the weight to the cell, so the muscles would get bigger and stronger, so our bones could become stronger, how could I increase the weight on this body while exercising? Jump higher. So simple. You see, the higher I jump, the faster I come down. The faster I come down, the more I load the springs. The more I load the springs, the greater the force of deceleration. The greater the force of deceleration, the greater the force of acceleration. You add the increased deceleration with the increased acceleration, all at the bottom of the bounce, you have a whole new G-force. I'm not going to repeat that, but suffice it to say, at that height, I weigh nearly 2 Gs. That's twice the gravitational pull of the Earth. That means every cell is going to have to adapt by becoming that much stronger. See, all other strength exercises generally just work muscles, and usually only one muscle group at a time. And while it is important to have strong and healthy muscles, isn't it also important to have strong and healthy connective tissues? Ligaments, tendons, bones, skin, biggest organ of the body. How do you get your skins to do a push-up? How do you apply weight on skin so the collagen, the protein fibers become more resistant to the weight? You exercise. It's all weight bearing. It's on every single cell through the G-forces. It's just not limited. Okay, I've been saving the best for last. It's great to have strong muscles. It's wonderful to have endurance. But I think we can all agree it's most important we have our health. When we have our health, we can pursue our wealth. And we can enjoy it. But when we lose our health, we'll expense our wealth trying to get our health back again. And we've all known people in that position. I think that's what makes what I'm about to share with you worth your time for being here. And for all those who might be watching, this is the most important physical activity I believe we can do on a day-to-day basis. And I learned about it through children. In fact, my daughter kind of was doing this in the crib one day when I was on a Cellerciser. Have you ever noticed when a baby first stands up in a crib anywhere in the world, they have a tendency to hold on to the bar, and what do? Yeah, tell me, does it end in the crib? They get out of the crib, they graduate. Now what do they jump on?
Couches, bed.
Yeah, and what do? Yeah, we kick them off. I tell people we knew better, not only would we encourage them to do it, we'd be up there doing it with them. You see, they're not born with balance, rhythm, timing, dexterity, hand-eye coordination. There are physiological functions that are challenged through those different movements. But we kick them off the couch or the bed. Have you ever noticed how young people dance? Anywhere in the world, they're bouncing off the walls, a little on the ground. Yeah, aren't they? We get to a certain age in our culture, though, what happens? We stop bouncing up and down. We begin to live this horizontal existence. Even our dance becomes horizontal. We do it day after day, year after year, with gravity always pulling what direction? Is it any wonder by the time we hit our mid-30s, everything that sat up here now sits down here? We stop putting weight on the connective tissues and the supporting muscles and ligaments in those areas. So that moving up and down helps to strengthen that. There's another reason that's so vitally important. Hardening of the arteries is the #1 degenerative disease. Wow. We begin to lose brain function and eyes and various different body parts function. They become, as we lose circulation, or circulation becomes compromised. Can everybody see the vein in this arm here? Okay, if I flex the arm, the vein just sits there. It doesn't do anything. If I hit it, it doesn't do anything. If I walk around, it doesn't do anything. It just sits there. That's our normal day-to-day activity right there, right? Okay, the moment I get on a Cellerciser every morning and I start to move up and down, watch this. Can you see that pumping?
Wow.
It's back flushing the valves and helping to open up the blood vessels. Is that important? It's critical. I don't know of a better way to do it than on the Cellerciser. I wake up in the morning, my eyes feel a little puffy. I get on the Cellerciser, and in 2 to 3 minutes, the puffiness is gone. Let's talk about why. See, another reason this is so important, it has to do with your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is there to keep you alive and healthy. The lymphatic system is a circulatory system that works its way throughout your entire body. But it's a system of tubes that rather than carry blood, it carries lymphatic fluid, which is basically water, away from tissue space of the body and back into the bloodstream. These lymphatic tubes begin in the lymphatic terminals. They're located in the toes, the fingertips, and other extremities of the body. They're kind of like the branches of an oak tree working their way backwards to branches toward the trunk and in the roots. Well, these lymph vessels work their way up toward the lymph nodes where the lymphatic fluid is cleaned, and then larger lymph vessels or branches carry the lymphatic fluid back up toward what's called the thoracic duct, your largest lymph vessel, like the trunk of the tree, and in through the venous cava area through the subclavian left vein and back into the bloodstream. It's kind of like the roots going back into the soil. Well, there's nearly 3 times as much lymphatic fluid in your body as there is blood. So virtually all of your cells are surrounded by this fluid. When the lymphatic system is circulating properly, it has the ability to flush or suck out the toxins, poison, metabolic waste that accumulate within the body, which can lead to stress, distress, breakdown in communication, pre-aging, degenerative diseases, even death. Everybody know what a lymphocyte is? You know who Captain America is? Okay. Well, your lymphocytes are kind of like your Captain Americas. They're representative of the 1% of the cells of your body devoted to your civil defense. They're devoted to keeping you alive and healthy. The lymphocytes utilize the lymphatic system to move throughout the body, seeking out and destroying viruses, germs, bacteria, fungus, dead cells, mutant cells, cancerous cells, and other foreign invaders. Dr. Arthur C. Guyton, in his book Medical Physiology, points out that if the lymphatic system were to stop circulating for just 24 hours, we'd be dead. Which means if the lymphatic system is not circulating as well as it potentially can or needs to be, given our current environment and conditions we're being exposed to in the world today, we're going to be more prone to what? Yeah. And according to a number of doctors and lymphologists, if the lymphatic system were circulating as well as it potentially can, it'd be almost impossible to get sick. Well, irrespective, that's a lot of potential. But we see the value, the importance of the lymphatic system operating within our body to keep us alive and healthy. Okay, if that lymphatic system needs to be circulated, I was in California one year, and the term lymphatic pump came up, and I thought that's rather interesting. If the lymphatic system has a lymphatic pump, and I need to make sure it circulates well, I want to protect the pump. Does anybody know where it is? Does anybody know where the lymphatic pump is? That's cardiopulmonary circulatory system. We don't have one. Whoa, we don't have a lymphatic pump. Okay, so how do we stay alive and healthy? The lymphatic system is dependent upon pressure changes occurring within the body to cause one-way valves to open and shut. It holds a negative pressure, so your heartbeat, your breathing creates some lymphatic movement. It's not real efficient, but it creates it. But when you understand that it takes pressure changes to cause these one-way valves to open and shut, to activate the immune system's potential, then you begin to appreciate the dynamics of the Cellerciser. See, as I get on the Cellerciser, those pressure changes that you see happening to the blood vessels are also activating millions of one-way valves in the lymphatic system. It's always fun for me when I go do a lecture or a show and I look at the audience and somebody's got a cold or an allergy and they're stuffy, because I'll ask. I said, let's get them on the Cellerciser. And I'll talk to the audience while I have them doing different things, and their nose just lets loose. They just start running, but they can breathe again, and everything's cleared up. And it's the same principle. It's the same principle. So I get up in the morning, 2 to 3 minutes, the puffiness is gone. Then after I've done my gentle baby bounce, then I do my aerobics. I count to 100. You can do more, you can do longer, but I go generally 1, 2, 3, 4. I try to see how many I can do in a minute. And this morning, about 125, but which is okay. After I've done the aerobics, then I do my calisthenics. The neat thing about Cellercising calisthenics is that you alter the angle to focus on different muscle groups, but not at the expense of the rest of the body. That's unique. Let me tell you what that means. With a sit-up, for example, you lift your body weight against gravity, and it limits the effect only to a specific group of muscles right here, right? Okay. When I Cellercise, you can hold on to the balance bar with both hands or one hand. I tilt my body. Now it's an isometric. Everything's tight. It's toned all the way down the entire stomach wall. If I hold on to the balance bar and I jog in place at an angle, that's a lot more weight on these muscles. If I kick my legs out, I leverage the weight. Right there. That's a lot more intense than doing that here. And I have weight not just here, but on every single muscle ligament throughout the entire body. So my body's actually getting stronger in this state as well. The implications of that with athletics is another lecture. Okay, anybody, oh, and if you want to tighten underneath the chin, you do the same thing. You take your 15, 20-pound head and tilt it. Now every time I come down, all the muscles have to hold the head up. And so that starts to tighten that area too. Anybody here have love handles? Anybody love them? No. Who came up with that? Gee. This took me a while to figure out. Holding on to the balance bar again. You see people doing things like this. You know, there's several different programs that do, you know, I don't even know how to do it, things like this. And I guess it's effective, kind of, sort of, but it's very limited amount of weight. So on a Cellerciser, we hold on to the balance bar, and from our hips, we simply kick out side to side. Every time I come down, I'm leveraging a lot of weight right there. That's a lot more intense than doing this. You're coming down with all that much weight, and it's still on the rest of the body. So lower back and buttocks help to lift, tighten, and tone the backside. I don't want to kick that chair. Okay, so you lean forward. You can hold on to the balance bar. From my hips, I simply kick back. Every time I come down, I'm putting the weight right here. The second most important physical activity, and I teach all these in the DVD that comes with it. The second most important physical activity, loosen the lower back. We're told up to 80% of Americans are going to have lower back problems to contend with. They don't know how to imbibe the disc with fluid or circulation. I'll show you some techniques that help with that. And digestion elimination, critical. for good health. We absorb most of our nutrients through the intestines. With all the additives, preservatives, and chemicals we're exposed to today in our food that we eat, processed food, has a tendency to irritate the inner lining of the intestinal wall. That causes the mucous membrane lining to accumulate, which prohibits us from being able to absorb nutrients effectively. Now, most of us eat every day, right? Okay. So every day, as one of my most important activities, I spread my feet apart, bend at the knee a little bit, lift the heels up and down, and I put my intestines and my colon through a little washing machine. And it has helped so many of us to improve digestion elimination processes. But as I'm gently twisting side to side, guess what else I'm doing? I'm massaging the liver, spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, adrenals, as I'm moving up and down and side to side. You see, we don't get that in a static existence. But the moving up and down, side to side, massages that, all of that. I tell people in 2 to 3 weeks, you'll feel like a different person. You do it every day. Because the body parts and functions begin to work more efficiently. You feel better. You don't have all the blockages. You open up the circulation. Drink lots of water. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so this one, second most, also helps to loosen the lower back. You see people do things like this with the upper back, and that's great, but we can do the lower back too. And then I do...
What about arms? Like, do your arms get it just
yeah.
what you're doing, or do you do weights on it? Darren had mentioned weights. Is that something you do, or do you just do...
You can, but remember, if you use, for example, 2-pound weights, and I started a couple years ago playing around with it, if you do that, they're not 2 pounds when you're bouncing with it. Okay? You can do it a different way. And this is what I use more often than weights, because weights aren't convenient for me. So I create the weight. I'll do an isometric where and this is on the more advanced DVD, it's Cellercise, the ultimate exercise. I show these techniques. You push down and pull up. Well, and in fact, I was just showing Darren this the other day. And because he was lifting weights, I said, you don't have to. But you're pushing, you're resisting up and down. And it works the back of the arm, then you switch and you do the other side. If you want to do the, with the bouncing, it's more weight than you would be able to apply yourself. For chest, you're pushing in. It works all the way around the chest. I'll do that one. And then for the back of the arms, this helps, but this one does too. You actually cup your hand, push down and pull up while you're bouncing. Try it for a minute. It doesn't take long. If you can go a minute, it'll burn because you've got all these cells working. They're depleting your oxygen very quickly. So, yeah, there's lots of techniques. And then we have women who've gotten rid of their cellulite in 2 to 3 weeks. I think I need to show you this. Men, same thing. If you have a stomach and you want to get rid of it, don't do sit-ups. All you will get is frustrated. You'll have strong stomach muscles, but nobody will be able to see them. Okay. They're too small to burn off the weight. The biggest muscles of the body have the greatest demand, therefore they give us the fastest results. Aerobic activities will incorporate the biggest muscles. Those are found in the thighs and the buttocks. What I'm about to demonstrate with you can only do on a Cellerciser. You cannot do it on the ground. You would hurt your back. But the Cellerciser supports it, and it's extremely intense. All of it. Anybody tried it? Yeah. Yeah. You'll develop a love-hate relationship, right? Yeah, you'll love it because it works. You'll hate it because it's hard. It's intense. You don't have to do a lot of it. Metabolism soars as you keep doing this, as many of us have found out. Okay, keeping your back straight and your feet flat, you can hold on to the balance bar. You don't want to lean forward because it takes the weight off the thigh. Keep your back straight. It keeps the weight on the thighs. Very important. And then you run as fast as you can without lifting your feet up off the mat. You're pushing down into the mat. You won't last 20 seconds without feeling that burn. It's just like this. When you're done with your first set, then you'll be done. You'll stand there, lift the heels up and down while you get ready for your next set if you really want to work it. And every time you lift the heels up and down, it pumps the calf muscle, which helps the heart move circulation. And as you're pumping with the calf muscle moving up and down, it helps reduce edema, swelling, and varicose veins. And so that movement, very important, weakest area of circulation from the heart. Okay, Jamba run. Hips, inner outer thigh, lateral knee, both sides of the knee, step across side to side like this. This is very important, and very few exercises are dealing with those ligaments and tendons that that support the lateral movement. But very important for athletics. But as you get stronger, you can sit down a little further, or you can go skiing. It's the same burn feeling you would have if you were on the slopes. And then I'll show you one more. This is one of the potential infomercials that I turned down. And this is a graduated movement. You can start off, women who've had children that really want to tighten and tone the lower abdomen. This is excellent. It helps promote contractions right after having childbirth. But you keep your feet on the floor to start with. Put your hands by your hips. Start to bounce up and down. And when you're strong enough and you feel strong enough to take away your hands, why am I still moving? It's all being done right there with the stomach. As it gets stronger, you can lean back further, lift up one leg. It leverages the weight right there in the lower abdomen where everybody wants to work. When the leg gets tired, lift up the other one. You're working the thigh too. As you become strong enough, you can lift up both legs, bounce a little higher. This is all being done right here with the stomach muscles. As you continue to get stronger, then you can go cheek to cheek. And now you're working the obliques, both sides of the stomach wall, or in and out, or up and down. I don't know of any sit-up that'll come close. I really don't. All right, we're going to do a real quick demonstration. Is there somebody here who has not done the strength and balance test with me that hopefully is a little skeptical? Anybody skeptical? Come on up. Have you been on a Cellerciser today?
Never.
Good. Okay.
Never
Oh, good. All right. You can take your shoes off if you'd like. And watch this. The light bulb hasn't gone on yet. It's going to. All right. Because this is real. What I want you to do, what's your name?
Kathy.
Kathy, David. Okay, thanks, Kathy. All right, Kathy. Take your feet, spread them apart. Kind of bend at the knees, a horse stance. Keep your back straight. Take your hands, put them in front of you. Elbows into your side. Just like that. Okay, well, remember that position. We're going to come back to it. Kathy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push down on your hands. I want you to attempt to not move. Attempt to resist me without any movement.
Okay.
Feel how hard I'm pushing down.
Okay.
And feel how I push.
Okay.
Be aware. Okay, ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay, as I push down, you resist. That's pretty good. Okay, came right over. Come on, try just as hard as you can. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, resist. Now I'm just going to push down, and you're coming right forward. Okay. All right, come on up on this Cellerciser. All right, Kathy, I want you to take your hands, and I want you to put them up on the trapezius muscles. Hold on to these muscles with your fingertips. Get a squeeze on them. Okay, now, these are the muscles that help hold up our posture. They're also the muscles when we get a lot of stress and tension. But when these muscles get weak, so the shoulders drop too. So hold on to those muscles, Kathy. Bounce up and down. Keep going, just like that. Okay, can you feel those muscles expanding and contracting with weight on them?
Yes.
Yeah, it's too easy. Okay, they have weight on them. All right, that's like taking 5 to 10% of her body weight, putting it on top of her. She's doing over 100 of these a minute. But instead of pushing the weight away from gravity, what's she doing? Increasing the weight of gravity. Oh, big difference. Okay, grab the deltoids, grab the shoulder muscles. People have shoulder problems often because they're not getting enough circulation and or strength and flexibility in the shoulders. But can you feel those shoulders expanding and contracting?
Uh-huh.
Is it a little or a lot?
It's pretty good, it seems like.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. You guys got to try this. This is excellent. Okay, now grab the biceps with your fingertips, squeeze the muscle, bounce up and down. Can you feel the weight on the muscle? Yeah, people say, how do you build up a bicep? Put more weight on it. But how do you do that Cellercising? See, the light bulb hasn't gone on yet. I said,
Higher.
just jump. No, it's all weight bearing. It's doing it now. That's why I was playing on this the first month and my arms were bigger. I didn't even know what I was doing yet. Take the hands now, put them around your waist. Dig into those stomach muscles with your fingertips. Bounce up and down. Can you feel the muscles in there expanding and contracting?
Yep.
Too easy. Okay, you're doing over 100 sit-ups a minute. You're still doing over 100 of these a minute. You're doing over 100 of these a minute. You're giving yourself a facial. You don't need it. But all the facial muscles have weight on them, so they become more resistant to the weight. The internal organs are moving up and down. The connective tissue surrounding them therefore starts to become more resistant. The entire body is being balanced, too. Is she favoring one side of the body over the other? No. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Kathy, let's step back down and take the same position. Mm-hmm. No, that's fine. Elbows in. Yep. Hands straight up. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. You try just as hard as you did last time. and tell me if you notice any difference in your strength and balance. Okay, ready? Okay, resist. Wow. Tell them. I pushed her well over
You're
twice as
pushing
hard.
harder the
I know.
second time.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. The implications. Guys, there's no secret to this. It really does work. And it's so easy to do this. We're looking for people that we can partner with, that we can work at getting this message out. We have no limited audience. It doesn't matter whether you're a senior citizen, whether you're a child, whether you're an executive, or whether you're a mother, whether you're an athlete, whether you're police, fire departments, it doesn't matter. People with multiple sclerosis have been using this with incredible results. Beautiful written testimonials, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, beautiful testimonials. When your cells are stronger and healthier, working more efficiently, your body parts and functions will be too. So you just ask yourself, do you know anybody who has weight issues that might be interested in this? You share it with them. Have a home party, take the DVD, Cellercise the Ultimate Exercise, have them watch the presentation of it, have the Cellerciser there, but don't have it available. Put something on top of it so they can't jump on it. Have them watch the DVD. It'll explain what it is, why it works. I do a demonstration in front of about 3,000 people, but I explain it all. When you're done, have everybody stand up. They will have been educated in it. Now you go through and you do the strength and balance test on them, just like I did on Kathy. Do the same thing on them. Go through everyone, and then have them sit down, have them come up one by one, and do just what I did with Kathy. Have them feel what's going on in these muscles. Have them feel the weight. It's amazing. And have them sit down when they're done. Have them all go through it. Then have them get up again, do the strength and balance test, and ask, are there any questions? You know what they're going to ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do I get one?
Yeah.
How much are they? Oh, okay. Well, I can sell it to you retail, or I can show you how to do it wholesale. It's up to you. But it will change their lives. I will do this, I pray, for the rest of my life. I've got people in their 90s and 100s that are my motivation because they're still doing it. I suggest if your body could communicate with you in a language we understood, you'd wake up in the morning, walk into the bathroom, and on your forehead it would read, please shake well before using. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
David.
you're very welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Just so you know, Dr. Keith Robbins is going to be our next speaker, and after Keith, Dana Stringham will speak. Dr. Keith is an expert in health and wellness, and he actually developed the equivalent meal replacement in conjunction with the Q Science Science Advisory Board. So if you'd like to take like a 2-minute break, and then we'll start and be prepared for that, and then Dana Stringham will be.
I didn't know that Dr. Robbins was coming up after me, but I take his product every single day. When I started taking his product, those nutrients, my arms started getting bigger, and I was still Cellercising. And people say, you're looking bigger in forearms. Yeah, I just started taking the equivalent. And I make that with my breakfast meal in the morning, and it's been great. So good nutrients the body can use. Anybody want to use this? You're welcome to try it.
Mr. Hall, thank you very much. My name's Walt Johnson. I've got no questions for you.
Good. Good.
I
Great. Well, I am just really thrilled and excited to be here. This is one of my passions. I really love to talk about nutrition and the importance of nutrition. But another one of my passions is to be a part of a wonderful company, Q Sciences. It is, I love what they call it, Q Science, the science of happiness. Doesn't that just kind of give you the warm fuzzies? Ooh, Mufasa. It's Q Science is the science of happiness. And that's really what it is. It's about being happy. I see so many people today, and they're not happy. And so I ask you, I throw this out there. I say, what is it that attributes to our happiness? What is it that makes us happy? Well, we've heard the saying, money can't buy you happiness, right? But do we believe that? Do we believe that money can't buy us happiness? I do. I've seen a lot of wealthy people out there, people that have things that I could only dream about having, and yet I don't see them as being happy. There's something that's missing. So if it isn't wealth that gives us happiness, then I thought, well, is it health? Can our health bring us happiness and attribute to it? Well, I know quite a few more healthier people that are happy, but I know a lot of them that aren't happy. So if it isn't our wealth and it isn't our health that attributes to our happiness, what is it? And I gave a lot of thought about that, and my undergraduate work is in physics, so I love algebra, I love equations, I love this, and so I was thinking, so if this is the science of happiness, what is the equation to happiness? And I'm going to propose that it's health plus wealth that equals happiness. Neither one of them by themselves can do it. Our health can be likened to our ability to do something. And the wealth is the means by which we can do that. So if I had the means but didn't have the ability, that's not going to bring me happiness. I can't do that. I have the means to do all of these things, but I'm not able, perhaps physically, to do it. Or if I'm physically able, or I have the ability to do it, but don't have the means, that can be just as frustrating. So it's health plus wealth is happiness. Sorry, I'm a wanderer here. So does that make sense? So that's what we're going to be talking about. And isn't it neat that Q Sciences gives us the opportunity for both? It gives us the opportunity to increase our health and, if we choose, to increase our wealth at the same time. So it truly, truly is the science of happiness. And that's a pretty powerful thing. And let me tell you, I have been and seen many other companies out there. I have a master's in business, and I have not seen anything out there like Q Sciences. And so we are truly, truly blessed to be a part of this great company. And I applaud you for being here. I applaud you for being here, listening, and spending your Saturday. This is my day that my wife usually gives me the honeydews. But for you to be here and to learn more about this, because I promise you, as you go out and you share this, as you go out and you share the ability to become more healthy and be more wealthy, we can bit by bit really truly change the world into a better place. And that's what this is about. So I'm today going to be talking about the health end of it on that. I'm sure you'll learn more and have the opportunity to learn about the business end of it, where the wealth part comes. But we're going to talk about this. And as I was preparing, I came across this really troublesome statistic. I found out that in 2013, just last year, of the 5 most prescribed drugs, the number 1 was the antipsychotic Abilify, doing over $6.4 billion in sales last year. Now, if that wasn't troubling enough, number 4 and number 5 were antipsychotic drugs. So of the top 5 prescribed drugs, 3 of them are antipsychotic. That was just really, really bothersome to me. What is going on? What is happening that is bringing that about? So if we assume that our doctors are being prudent in prescribing these, and I think that that's fair to say, they're there to help us. If we assume that they're giving them as they are needed and for the symptoms, what is that saying about us? These numbers are projected to go up as time goes on. So it says it's a pretty sad story about what's happening with us. So I'm like, what is it? What is the cause behind this? I don't know about you, but I don't think we are abilify deficient. But yet that's what they're giving for it, right? So no, we're not. But there must be some sort of a deficiency. There must be. And I propose that deficiency are the raw materials that are needed and necessary for our bodies and our nervous system. Our bodies need certain nutrients and certain ingredients in order to function optimally. Now, there would be 2 reasons why we would be deficient. Number 1, the foods that we take into our body are deficient of them. And number 2, our bodies themselves don't have the ability to absorb those nutrients. I would propose those would be the 2 reasons why that is the case. Now, this was something that I have told my patients over, and it's something that I think is very helpful if we can keep this in mind. There are 90 essential nutrients needed for our bodies to function. 90. 60 minerals, 60 essential minerals, 16 essential vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, and 2 essential fatty acids. Those are all necessary in order for our body and brain to function. Now, if we are not getting those, can we begin to see what is happening? And I'm telling you, we are not getting those. And that, as a matter of fact, I'm going to back for just a minute. Those of you who know Linus Pauling, he was a big advocate of vitamin C, 2 times Nobel Prize laureate and receiver. He said, and I thought this was very interesting, he claimed that you can trace every chronic disease back to a mineral deficiency. Every chronic disease back to a mineral deficiency. So now, minerals are what our body requires to communicate. The minerals are so vitally important. But because of the way our foods are grown today and the things that are taking place in the name of scientific advancement, we are actually killing off the soil's ability to actually provide those minerals. See, minerals can't be given by animals, it can't be given by plants. It's only given from the soil, the earth. And what happens is there are bacteria that are in the soil, and these bacteria are necessary to break down or pre-digest the minerals so that plants can uptake them. And as the plants uptake them, then we eat the plants, or we eat the animal that eats the plants, and we're able to get those minerals. But because of the pesticides that we are putting out there, it's slowly killing those bacteria and making it impossible now for our foods to have all the minerals that are necessary in that. And so what ends up happening then, as our foods become depleted of the minerals, then we become depleted. And then, of course, the types of foods that we're eating today, they have so many processed things in them. It's interesting. I was doing some research, and in a grocery store, typical grocery store might have about 500,000 food items in it. And of the 500,000 food items in there, I believe probably maybe 100,000 of those are actually fresh. And then we even have to take a look at how those fruits and vegetables are are actually even being brought to market. And so, as you can see, it's really hard for us to get the nutrients that we need today, if almost not impossible in that. Then we also have problems then that begin to happen because of the processed foods that we're eating and the things that we're doing to our bodies, that we actually begin to break down our digestive system. The types of foods that we're eating actually begin to thin the lining of our stomach, and as that lining begins to thin, it becomes more and more permeable, and bit by bit, the foods are actually entering into our bloodstream without having been broke down. So if we take a look, say for instance, protein, if we think of proteins as a chain of amino acids, like a chain of pearls, and we take that in, our stomachs are supposed to take those down and break those individual amino acids up, break them down in each individual pearl. But what's happening is we take these proteins into our body, our stomachs aren't able to do that. Whole protein molecules, if not partial protein molecules, are going into our bloodstream. As soon as they hit our bloodstream, it creates an immune reaction. Our body starts looking at it as a something, a pathogen that it has to go in. And so now, all of a sudden, we develop an immune response to it. So these things that we call food allergies, unless you were born with them, really are not. They're really food insensitivities that we're taking in. So as we begin to heal the gut, then we begin to build the immune system. Then we begin to be able to absorb the minerals that we need. So now, that is kind of a short physiology lesson in what goes on. So here's what has happened. I would have patients come into my clinic, and I would be able to help them structurally as a chiropractic physician. But I would see them come in, physically they were weak, they didn't look good. I would talk with them about their nutrition. We would do a little nutrition diary, and I would see that they were far from getting the foods that they needed. It's hard to find. Even when we go to health food stores today, we really can't even rely on them being what we need. And as I started to see this, I learned that 1.5 million people die annually each year from symptoms of obesity, of high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, all of these things that are coming about because of the foods that we eat, because of our lifestyle choices that we're making. And that's where I thought, you know what, there has got to be something that we can do about that. We should not have to be victims to what we're exposed to, right? We should have the ability to have healthy choices. And that's what led me to working on the Equivalent Plus on that. And I was able to bring, patients were able to come in, and we were able to put them on a plan and make sure that they were getting the things that they needed. A lot of people didn't realize that our bodies need at least a 0.5 gram of protein per pound of lean muscle mass. Okay, so that's kind of a mouthful. So let's just make that easy. Let's say you were 100 pounds and you were 30 pounds fat. So roughly that would mean you were 70 pounds of bone, muscle tissue, blood. So you would figure you would take half of that, 35, and that's how much protein you would need if you were a 100-pound individual that was 30% fat, a minimum of 35 grams. But most of us were not in that. So I always tell my patients we need at least 60 grams of bioavailable protein in that. So that was one thing that I was noticing that they weren't getting enough of. They weren't getting enough of the vitamins from the fruits and vegetables. As I talked about the soil depletion, it was kind of interesting. I did a little bit of research and found out that a carrot back in 1935, to have the same nutrient value of a carrot back in 1935, we would need about 35 to 38 carrots today to match that. That's where it is. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to eat that many carrots. Now, of course, that's where juicing. Can you see why juicing is such a valuable thing for some people? You know, now I don't necessarily prescribe to it wholly because when you get that many things to it, it might be too much for your body. But you can see why juicing has helped because of the lesser of that. But I had the opportunity to talk a little bit with Dave Hall about this, and I just loved his analogy. He says our bodies need a smorgasbord of vitamins and minerals. You know, I'm not smart enough to know how many to give to you. That's not my job, right? But if we put out the smorgasbord of this, your body has an intelligence. It knows what it needs, and it will take it. And so he shared with me that he gets up and he uses the equivalent, and he puts different fruits and vegetables, and he has his own little mixture there. And now his body can take what it needs at that time and be able to then go through the rest of the day. And that's the way I believe it should be done. Our bodies have an inner intelligence. They know, it knows what it needs, more so than we do on that. And so I'm just excited to be able to have this opportunity to talk with you a little bit about it, kind of give you the history of why and how Equivalent Plus came into being. It was there so that we would have the right balance of protein, the right balance of vitamins and minerals. And, you know, by itself, as I mentioned, we need 60 trace minerals. In our best enzyme blend, the BEST in there, that's bioavailable enzyme specific transport, it has 72 trace minerals. So there's some more that go beyond the 60 essential ones that, you know, that when we say essential, those are just the platform or the base. So it has 72. Then when we talk about the 12 amino acids, it has these, when you take this food begins to break down and digest, and the protein in there begins to break down into the amino acids. So you do have the aminos that are necessary. And then we have the coconut oil in there. So we did add some fatty acids that are in there as well. So we really need a little bit more of the omegas in there, but it has everything other there. It has the 60, the 12, and drawing a blank here, how about those numbers I told you to. They were 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 aminos. It itself has all of those. And then we want to add the fatty acids in conjunction with that. And as you do, now you have everything that your body needs. And as you begin to utilize it and use it, you will start to feel a difference. And that was something that was so important that when we did that. So now you do have a whole food option that you can take with your other foods. I have some patients who take 3 of the shakes a day and 1 of their own meal, and they're very satisfied with that. So that gives them that option. The important thing is, though, like I said, is to be able to supply your body with those so it knows what it does, to have the smorgasbord, if you will, of all of those. I've been asked on occasion, you know, if you're going to have 1 or 2 shakes, and I keep reiterating this, I think it's so important. If you're only going to have 1 a day, I really recommend you have it before you go to bed on that. When we go to sleep at night, that is when our bodies, our liver begins to actually go into full function. As we work through the day, our livers are only really working at half of what their capacity is. It's kind of like a 212 and a 110. During the day, our liver, which would be a 212 volt, during the day is only working at 110 because all of our other systems are working. But when we go to bed and all those other systems turn down, now our liver has the ability to shoot up and begin to repair and to heal from all of the stresses of the day. And it needs the building blocks in order to do that. If the last thing that we ate before we went to bed was ice cream or a donut or whatever, think about what it has to build and to rebuild with. It doesn't have a lot. So then it has to start stealing from the body, and then we start having the body now taking from itself in order to try to complete the systems that it was intended to do. But we give it the good building blocks, and then we have the option and the ability to wake up, be refreshed, ready to start the day, knowing that our bodies have actually been able to go through the healing process. And so, like I said, I am just really excited to be a part of Q Sciences, for the philosophies and the things that they have to offer, for their real focus on the health, because the Equivalent Plus is a piece of what there is. We have the sprays, we have the Empower Plus Q96 and the Q Centrals that give the body what it needs and feeds the brain, right? And then we have the sprays that further supplement our bodies where we're missing out on things on that. And now we have a meal choice to be able to help us get through the day and build. And then the Cellerciser to just tie it all together as we need to exercise. You know, having the foods are great, but now we have to put the body under stresses of the right type of stresses in order for it to build. You know, I love what David Hall says. We don't have to tear down to build up. We truly don't. If we truly understood that we could go through and these bodies that were meant to last for 120 years can truly do that. I mean, you look at him. He's been my goal. I said, that's what I want to look like, you know, 2 years from now. But no, I mean, when he told me his age, I about fell over. I'm like, holy smokes, I better get going. I have a lot of work to do. But no, he truly has been an inspiration because it all brings it together. And like I said, there's no other company on the planet that even comes close to what this has to offer. And again, I thank you for your time. I am grateful to be a part of this, and I just love what everyone says. Just cue it up. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So appreciate your expertise and your valuable time and answering our questions and enlightening us for our health and wellness. And now, Dana Stringham, we're going to take like a 5-minute break, and then Dana Stringham will be our next speaker.